Cash Care, former Navy SEAL. Shit, sorry.
It's already starting.
Oh, man. Is this the first Navy SEAL on?
Well, you had Clint on, but he was on not here in the studio. He came in.
That's right. You're the first Navy SEAL in person.
So, suck it, Clint.
No, really. Suck it. Ray and Clint got into an argument just recently. Some brotherly love. It's funny.
Shit happens.
Shit happens. Yeah. Clint can be an asshole.
He can.
He can.
And
but so can you.
I can too. So, yeah. It's all good.
Oh, man. Well, welcome, dude. Welcome to North Carolina. It's nice here, right?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
One of the reasons why we came down here was November 5th. We're running a Squire program here, and Ray's one of the main instructors for that.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
We did no pun intended, a recon of the area, right?
It's funny. We did an internal meeting, that PDF that I showed you, and I was like, hey, so Ray's going to come down, do a PDSS, and look at everything for the Squire program, and that way he's got eyes on, and everybody's like, oh,
what does that mean?
What does that mean? I was like, oh, yeah.
He's doing a recon.
Yeah. So it actually is cool. Were you guys able to go to the other locations?
Well, I've been to Wes's before. Only place I haven't been yet is Ryan's, but he's kind of done the same thing, gave us an aerial overview, so it's legit.
Yeah, he's got a good amount of land, and that barn is just badass up there.
Yeah.
Talking about Ryan Mickler, Order of Man. If you guys don't know, they're running. Do you know the date for that one?
Not offhand. It's soon. It's in May. May 28th. May 28th. I just remember that. Yep, May 28th.
Yeah, up in Maine. And he's co-located close to the Origin guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very. They're intertwined.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on my boots.
Dude, so speaking of those boots, she got me a pair for Christmas, and when I first put them on, I was like, so I've never in my life worn a pair of true leather boots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've got boots from the store, but a real pair of
handmade.
Yeah.
hard leather boots. And I was like, these fucking suck.
You got to break them in. You got to make it, it takes time.
So I was like, and I got a blister, and I was like, this is rough, man. But dude, once I broke them in, it's just what she said, because she buys Freebirds.
Yeah, leather boots, handcrafted leather boots.
And she's like, you just got to, wear them in a little bit. Dude, they are the most comfortable boots.
But it's a love-hate relationship at the beginning. You got to show them who's boss.
Yeah, those first few days, was uncomfortable. But I mean, I'll have those boots for 15, 20 years.
Oh,
easy.
Yeah. Easy. The more they're worn in, the better they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ray, Mr. Navy SEAL.
Cash Care, former Navy SEAL. Go ahead.
Where'd you grow up?
I am a Baltimore native, so
a criminal.
Pretty much, yeah. Just like,
Did you get in trouble back in the day?
A lot of trouble. I was
really?
I was an idiot. Yeah, complete and utter idiot.
Did you get caught doing anything?
A couple times. So obviously I wasn't good at what I did, but yeah, I spent a little time in lockup and done a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah.
But that's
all before the Navy, obviously.
All before the Navy.
The stupid shit that was in the Navy is separate.
That's a whole separate entity. We're compartmentalizing this, right? Let's stick to one fuck up at a time. No, but that was definitely one of the contributing factors why I went to the Navy. I was not going anywhere and not going there fast, right? I was getting in a lot of trouble, fights, dumb shit. I was a roofer, doing drugs, drinking.
Well, how old were you when you joined the Navy?
I was 19.
Oh, okay.
19. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Jerry Springer show, man. I'm like, literally, if Jerry Springer was going to do like a 2022 billboard for White Trash of the Year, here I am. But that's okay. I accept where I came from, and I'm definitely trying to change the course of that.
Definitely.
It said you grew up without your dad and you were taking care of your brothers on your bio. I was reading it.
I didn't. My brother actually died of crib death before I was born, so wow. I actually have his name. So my real name, true story, I'm going to go, is Raymond. Here we go. Raymond Martin Kerr Jr. is my name.
Okay.
But my real name is Raymond Martin Kerr III because my brother, Raymond Martin Kerr Jr., died of crib death 9/11/1970. So I have actually one time in my life went to that plot and seen my name on there. It's creepy. So
that was before you were born.
Before I was born. I was born in 72. So but growing up, I grew up from a split family. My mom was in one area, and I lived with my dad in Dundalk, Maryland. That pretty much sums it up. Just white trash, Maryland. Great place. I'm near Sparrows Point, Bethlehem Steel. And my dad was into a lot of things. He was a biker, and he actually got murdered when I was 11. I remember it was in December. December 10th is when he was murdered. And then I had to go live with my mother, which just started, I'm obviously an angry child as it is, just by nature. Yeah. I think all of that kind of just imploded, and I just started getting in a lot of trouble, doing a lot of things.
Yeah, it was the recipe for like the perfect storm, right?
It was. And what I ended up doing is taking that anger and energy, and I channeled it into like sports. That's just what I ended up doing. So I was pretty good. So that happened when I was young. And I started squaring my shit away when I was a freshman in high school. I was like, you know what? This is just stupid. So I wanted to, I started getting into lifting weights. Obviously, I wasn't the tallest kid. You know that. But I was always usually one of the strongest.
Yeah.
So it's been real, I just used like the aggression and the anger as my superpower. I was a wrestler. I was a pretty good freaking lacrosse player. I picked up a stick and I was like, I can do this. And, football was my jam, though.
Yeah.
I like contact sports where you just get to hit men, like cool shit. Getting your bell rung, ringing bells.
So did that keep you out of trouble?
It, for the most part, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for the most part.
Or better yet, the trouble that you could have gotten yourself into?
I got in the most trouble when I started going to community college. Like, I didn't have the grades or the ASVAB score or the SATs, to go to a big college. And I really didn't want to do anything. I was a roofer and I just wanted to party. Back then it was a simpler time. That's when the trouble started. I was drinking, fighting, community service, getting locked up, started doing some drugs, nothing too hard, Wasn't like shooting the pony. We'll keep it clean. But I did experiment with a little, some pot and some coke, and I like the way that smelt.
It's usually the way that goes. Did anything actually stick like on your record when you were that young?
No. Nothing got. It just back in the day, man, you could get away with so much more than you can now. If that were the case, I would have been locked. Throw away the key with some of the shit I've done.
If I did what I did as I was a kid, I'd probably be worse off. But I had 2 felonies by the time I was 13. Yeah, out of Florida.
Make sure I have my wallet on me. Okay.
Yeah, you better. Yeah. And then MARSOC teaches me how to be MARSOC and Recon teaches me how to be a professional criminal.
That's right. Lock picking and I saw you. I know the same thing. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was told this was wrong. Not now.
Right. Yeah, man. So I was 2 felonies by the time I was 13 years old.
What were they?
One was coffee's here. One was burglary over conveyance, and then so that was a felony, and then I was on probation. Got kicked out of school. Thank you, my fruity drink.
Thank you.
So you didn't want to get this because being a Navy SEAL, you would have just been over the top.
Between the hair gel, the light coat of oil, and everything else.
Yeah, it's just too much.
Too much.
Too much.
It's not fair to you.
I'm going to go with black coffee. You are going to put some sugar in it, though. Look at you. So I was on probation. Got kicked out of my school. Had to go. My mom got me in a middle school, two school districts over. Yeah, it's pretty. Then you had to drive me all the way out there. It was pretty horrible.
Don't judge me with the sugar amount.
You put all those on there?
No.
That's what Metformin is for, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Sorry. There's nothing. Swish it around. You'll get to it eventually. So I was on probation, and then I got caught on school grounds with a weapon.
What kind of weapon?
It was a butterfly knife.
I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah, butterfly knife.
Were you good with it? Could you open it up and move it around?
Yeah. But because I was on, I think by itself it wouldn't have been an issue. But because I was on probation, they knew this. They knew the stipulations of why I was in that middle school.
Got it.
And they were like, resource officer, like, put me in clinks, and that was it, man. I was like, shit. So I violated. I don't know. I violated.
They
something.
were really concerned you were going to lead a revolution, and that's what they couldn't handle. So
yeah, they were.
But on a serious note, some of the most successful people I know, the most driven people I know, we have that same commonality. We've had some rough childhoods, and there's other things.
It's a choice, right? It's a choice that you have to make. That's like, because I could easily have gone the other direction and been a career criminal, ended up dead or just locked up, or
it'd been so much easier than this fucking route, because
right.
I'm up. This
is work.
Yeah.
The other, but after that, but I make jokes like by the time I was 15, I straightened out my life.
Hey,
but anyways, so I'm always curious, like, because people now have a really hard time getting in the military if they have. And I tell kids now, I'm like, dude, you've got to keep your shit together. Like, whatever you think these friends are or whatever you're going to do is not worth your future.
Yeah.
Because it's not the 70s anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't get away, the world has changed, and it's changing right under our feet right now. And that's a whole nother conversation, but yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
So you were getting in trouble.
Yeah.
You were chasing the white dragon.
Chasing the white dragon and chasing some tail. I like the ladies back then. Yeah.
So what made you go say, fuck it, I'm going to join the Navy?
Well, I was, I got in some trouble, and I avoided going one path by going to the next, right? So I was probably, if I was going to go to court and some things were going to happen, I was probably going to spend a little time for doing some stuff. I got into a fight and beat a guy pretty bad and took it a little too extreme. And I was kind of, it was a small town, so the system knew who I was and I knew who they were. And somebody recommended that probably the best thing for me to do would be to get out of Dodge by joining the military. So there was a local judge that I asked if, would this work if I did this? And he said, you need to leave soon. Like, I shit you not, I went to the recruiter, fucking bombed. Let me say that again. Bombed my ASVAB. Holy shit. Literally, that's what, when they saw my score, that's what they did. And I left 10 days later.
With what contract? Like, what did you leave?
Undesignated. Go. Just go. But when I was there, shipmate. But when But when I went there, it's the first time that I saw the pamphlet of the Navy SEALs, and I was like, holy shit! Like, I read the thing, and the guys were like your size, you're a giant compared to me, and it was awesome because I went first. True story. I went to the Air Force first, and they looked at my ASVAB score, and they literally laughed me out of the place. Marines,
they're like, this place is not for you.
The Marines, Army said, yeah, man, well, we can work with you. And I actually was going by and I saw the Navy recruiter, and he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm checking some of my options out. I need to join the military. He said, come on in. And lo and behold, he was like, listen, you qualify for, I could have been a cook or a medic. I don't know how that don't ask me about, I don't know, I swear. And I was like, oh, I'm not really interested in either one of those. And he goes, well, you could go on designated. And I'm like, what does that mean? You're going to probably be Haze Gray underway on a ship. And I'm like, well, shit. Okay. Yeah, whatever. But then we sit there.
Sounds like jail, but better.
Sounds like jail, but better. Yeah. But you get paid. You get paid. You just get paid a little bit of money. Not much back then. Our checks were ridiculous. But then by him, there was a pamphlet and it said U.S. Navy SEALs. And I was like, what's this? And he was the best salesman in the world. He goes, you'll never fucking make it through that. I was like, so I read it. And he said, listen, you don't have the ASVAB scores. You're 5'7", 5'8". I'm saying 5'7", 163 pounds. Chances of you making that are slim and none. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. That was my calling. And I knew it. So long story short, went through boot camp. And like I said, Forrest Gump has it broke. Actually, no, Tom Hanks has it broke down. It is literally just get up, do as you're told, and keep your shit squared away. Boot camp was so easy.
Yeah.
And some of the fucking rejects that were in boot camp, you're like, what the hell is going on?
You're like, I'm a reject and I can do this pretty easily. Yeah.
But it wasn't hard to shine in the regular Navy. Just, I work for Bedros Cooling. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired.
Yeah.
Do as you're told. Have a good attitude. Fucking work hard.
Yeah.
Do this. So I got stationed, this is what's awesome, in what's called neutral duty. No one knows what the fuck neutral duty is.
So this is after
boot
basic
camp,
training.
right after boot camp. I crushed boot camp, and I was the master at arms.
Right.
So I got to yell at people. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I actually joined the Navy with another guy named Mike Holmes from my hometown. And we both got stationed at the same place because he's like, yeah, man, you want to be a SEAL? I'll be a SEAL. He never ended up doing it. He met a girl, went the other route. I was like, fuck it, this is what I'm doing. We got stationed in Keyport, Washington. Beautiful
For
place.
those listening, listen, don't ever do anything because of a woman. There's plenty of women on the other side of whatever you want to do.
Become a Navy SEAL and you will sleep with hot women.
Right?
Recon. I'm not,
Yeah.
your wife's good looking. I'm sorry.
But you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of guys, I've heard that story before. It's like, oh, my wife or my girlfriend didn't want to do it. And it's like,
no, on a serious note. Yeah, you got to.
yeah. And I mean, just because you're going to, like, then in 10, 20 years, you're going to be like, well, I could have.
You're
going to
regret it.
You're going to have resentment built up. You know what I mean? Just do it.
The not knowing is what I think kills people. And
Yeah.
like I should have, I could have, but you didn't. So anyway,
go and fail, and then you can deal with that.
well, that's the thing. That's the problem with society. People fear failure, and I'm like, dude, you got to embrace that shit. So anyway, went to my neutrals. It's funny because when they were giving out orders, they were like C duty, C duty, C duty, C duty. One person would like get shore duty, and then they went through and they're like care and homes, neutral duty.
I've never even heard of this.
So even the E6 who was in charge of us was like, no one's ever gotten that before. So I'm like, oh shit, what did we do? So literally what it was we would literally go out on what's called a torpedo retriever, 72-foot wooden boat, and we would recover torpedoes for the divers that were doing stuff in the Puget Sound and all these other places. And it was awesome because we would just go out for the day and we would come back.
So you didn't go to an MOS school?
No.
You just showed up?
No, I just showed up, man.
And you're like, this is your job
And
now.
they're like, because we were big, even though we were small guys, we were a lot better shape than everybody else. The other boat crews had 8 people. Ours had 4. We had the meanest craftmaster, which was a BM1. We had an EN1 who was the engineman. Mike worked with him, and I worked with the craftmaster. Like, had the old tattoo.
Yeah.
Just mean as shit. Marrier was his name. BM1 Marrier, recovering alcoholic. But he loved this because we just worked hard. But we could out crank.
Yeah.
You'd have to hand crank these things in. And there was, we had SOPs of stuff we had to do. And he was like, your job is to keep the boat straight and neat. Mike's job is to help him with the engine room. We're like, back then, yes, sir. Like, just don't call me sir. Call me boats and call me, okay. And we did it. And long story short, while I was doing all this, my real goal was to retake the ASVAB and obviously get appointed.
Back then, what did you have to get for?
You had it was like a combined. It was the combined score what was getting me. Like you have to have one score, and then it's like your mathematical and
The GT.
and whatever it is.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but like here was the problem that got me. Stay with me here, okay? If you were on a train going 60 miles an hour east, another one going 60 miles an hour west, or 70 miles an hour going west, when do they? I don't fucking know. I'd never been on a train before.
Like, I'm not a conductor. I don't know.
You have 3 holes in a boat. These are the questions I remember.
Yeah.
Which one is going to fill up? I don't know. Plug the bitches and let's move on, right? So I bombed it. But to get serious, this is where I really had to do some self-reflection and go, listen, it's now or never.
Right.
So the first thing I did, well, the lack of what I did was I didn't ask for external help. And this is something that listeners need to understand. If you need help with something, I was too proud to ask for help.
Yeah.
So I just grabbed an ASVAB book and I started studying, but I was really studying hard. So you have to wait
So how old are you at this point?
20, I had to wait like a year. So I think I was 20 or 21. So like when everybody was out chasing ass and doing everything, I mean, I was still getting a little bit in, but nowhere near like everyone else.
Yeah. A little more focused on the goal.
Yes. So I'll never forget his name, Wyan Conklin. There's these people in your life that kind of just helped you.
Yep.
And he was like a little nerd yeoman, but dude, he was the nicest guy in the world. He believed in me. And I like that. He was like, you sure you don't need some help? I'm like, no, I got this. Well, I took the test. You had to wait a year, or it was 6 months. It was 6 months. But you have to earn your keep at the,
of course.
at the stuff.
Yeah.
And I took it. And as God is my witness, my combined score, I missed by 1 fucking point.
That happened to me.
1 point. I missed it by 1 point.
That happened to me.
And everybody.
I was in tears, man.
Yeah, so was I. I mean, I'm standing in front, like when you got your, like you're sitting at this, I'm standing kind of at attention. You know, he was a E6 and I was an E1, I think E2. And, you know, you don't know any better. So he was like, brother, I don't know what to tell you. Why don't we regroup next week if you still want to do this? I went back to my room, man, and I'll tell you what, I don't care. I cried like a baby because, I mean, I put out. And that's where it shifted. And I went back to him. I saw him like a couple days later, and I said, Brian, I need some help. I need some classes. I don't know how to do this, this, and this. And like for the next, then it was, I had to wait longer to take it because it was like, okay.
Yeah.
And this is where the story gets good. And I mean, I studied, I stopped drinking. I was working out. I actually moved off base. They let me, I was an E3. And even though I had a car, I would either like, it was like 5 miles. I'd run into work or I'd pedal my bike in and do all this stuff. I took it again. And it's, and I'll never forget it, man. I can't remember what I had for fucking breakfast 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I remember standing in front of him and he was like looking at some papers and he goes, he wouldn't even look up at me. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm done. And he goes, how do you think you done? I said, well, I don't know how I think I done. I hope I passed it. And he goes, you did. And no emotion, no nothing. And the first thing I said was, can I? And he goes, I'm not going to tell you what your score is. What you do now is what counts. And that was what was so impactful with me. Like, because bottom line, I probably got the fucking minimum score.
Doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter, right? It's like he said, it doesn't matter. All the hard work. And this guy, like I said, I invited this guy to my bud's graduation. He couldn't come, but because he was so influential to me, right? And he was like, and he's kind of like Silent Bob, right? From, you know, the movies, Clerks. He just looked up and he goes, your score doesn't matter. Care? Because he just called me Care. When you're like a BMSN or, you know, when you don't even own the right to be called anything, just Care. He goes, but it's what you do now. He goes, right now, you can change, you have the opportunity to change your life right now. And what are you going to do? And I'll tell you what, man, it lit a spark under me. So this was like year 2. So there's a program where you can apply to be what's called a mud pup at a dive locker, which is literally just an errand boy. And my job was whenever new candidates come in to screen for EOD, diver, or SEAL, my job was to run with them and don't lose at too many things. So I just trained my ass off. And what was really cool is, you know, they treated me like shit, but that was, you know how it is, man. You've got to earn your right. But I ended up being a timekeeper for doing hyperbaric treatment tables. Okay. So it was really neat.
So before you're even in,
I'm learning this. Yeah. And truth be told, and actually he just passed away. Rear Admiral Smith, Ray Smith, just passed away. He was friends with a gentleman named Jake Avison, who was one of the only divers who had gone through all of BUD/S except for Hell Week. Back in the day, they used to do things different. He went through the whole program except for Hell Week. True story, they offered him a try and he said, no, I didn't earn it. Him and a gentleman by the name of Bobby Moore, who was like one of the most senior divers in the Navy, Admiral Smith, knew him. And
why didn't he do the whole
because divers used
Why did he do it in general?
Divers used to augment in and do the training for things. Like this was before my time. Like he's an older guy. Like he's in his 70s now.
Frogman style.
Frogman style, yeah. So he did everything except that. He was so old school. He's like, I didn't earn it. I didn't do it the Hell Week. And they were like, would you want to go through Hell Week? He's like, fuck that. So, you know. So anyway, I'm trying, you know, I do this for about another year and I'm trying to get orders. And back then it was really hard to get orders, right? Because now it's different. You have like this draft and you have all, you know, Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols and all these amazing people have all these programs. We didn't have shit back then, man. You just fucking trained.
Yeah,
like,
same with us.
You know,
it wasn't even the internet.
You had no clue.
I have no clue.
No clue.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, you need to run, push up, pull up, sit ups, learn how to tie knots, and you're going to hold your breath. So that's all I did.
Well, what year did you join?
The Navy or?
Yeah, the Navy.
1992.
Okay, so the movie Navy SEALs was out.
Yes.
So that's the only thing.
That was it.
That was it.
So except for jumping off a bridge and you know, going into it.
Was Dick's book even out by that point?
I don't think it was out. I didn't really start getting into reading any of the books and shit until actually I became a SEAL.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it.
Because there was nothing out there.
Nothing. And you weren't, you know, you didn't have cell phones and all that shit, you know? I was a geolocator before. I just hunted. I'd chase a woman down. I'd drive there and go there.
Right.
But anyway, shit, I lost my train of thought. We
So you're in the, you're running with the guys that are going through.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's the story. Yeah. Thank you. And Admiral Smith comes up. There was a retirement, and he was coming up, and fucking frog man. And it was me and a guy named Chuck Drude. Chuck Drude, fucker, hate him. He was going to be EOD, but he invested in this company way back in the day called Starbucks. He put like 10 G's in, like at the base, and he's like worth $1 gazillion now. And I love Black Rifle Coffee.
Everybody was probably like, "You're an idiot. It's never going to go anywhere."
I bought a Harley instead with my money. And but anyway, when we would run, we would always do like these 1, 3, 5, 7, whatever. I mean, back then, who cares? You know, you'd run. Well, we did this run, and our master diver at the time, it wasn't Bobby Moore. It was a guy named Ray Augustine, a big Samoan who took over. And I think Jake was retiring. And at the last mile, he would pretend like he's holding us. We wouldn't have shirts on. He'd hold us. And he's like, "Admiral Smith, you want to see this?" And Admiral Smith, you know, we're running. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Watch what happens when I release the dogs." Right? That's what he would do. And he would let us go. And he said, "If you win, you're going to Buds." Like, and it was a joke. He just whispered to me. And Chuck Drude was like a runner. And I mean, I am running as fast as I can, right? They're trying to keep up, and we're fucked. They're old, man. We're like, rah, running. I'm puking and just doing it. Hit the finish line. Swear to God, concrete. I'm all busted up. Boom. Me and Chuck came in like the same time. I still think Chuck kind of waited up for me because he was a beast. Literally, when it's done, I'm just laying there, and Master Diver comes in. I'm just laying on the ground, and obviously, you know, never show that shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, "Get the fuck up. Admiral Smith's coming." So I jump up. I'm fucking bleeding. I'm like, puke all of me. He's like, "Not bad." And that was it. That's all I heard him. That was on a Friday. Monday, I got called in the Master Diver. And, you know, like, he's like, "Hey," because usually I'm in PT gear. He's like, "Hey, put on your," I was still in fucking dungarees. "Put on your dungarees." Thought I was in trouble. Like, shit. Staying attention. He's like, "You're going to Buds Class 200, which leaves in like 4 months." And I was like, just speechless. He's like, "Close your mouth, get the fuck out of my office." You know, because that was huge. But this was my lifelong dream. So, you know, I showed up to Buds, and the rest is history.
So
man.
you got your shot through hard work.
Dude, you know, that's it.
It wasn't a contract. It wasn't anything. It was hard work.
That's it. And that's
awesome, man.
And that is what, and I know you get it too, right? Everybody wants to be a Recon. Everybody wants to be a Raider. Everybody wants to do this, but you've got to be willing to put in the fucking work. And here's the best piece of advice I can tell someone. If you want to be a whatever it is, don't go blasting it all over Instagram. just do what we did. Just keep your mouth shut, train.
Do the work,
and do the work. Like, and again, Stu Smith, Jeff Nichols, like, I wish to God I would have had them back in the day. Their programs, like, people ask me, "Will you train me?" And I'm like, nope. I push them over to both of them. I don't even think they know it half the time. I'm just like, "Hey, go to Jeff at CSCS or at Stu."
Why would you not?
Because they're the best. They're the best at what they do, you know, versus...
I mean, we just didn't have those, and that's the reason why, like, you know, Josh and I do the stuff with the Raider Prep and Recon Prep and things like that. It's because, you know, people are like, well, a lot of people go like, "Oh, you do this for money and blah, blah." I'm like, first of all, let me tell you about how money goes. Yeah. You don't make fucking shit off those things.
No, you don't. I mean? That's the thing. Everybody
we make our money elsewhere, but
but
the reason why we did it is because people were reaching out and we didn't have anything. Yeah. They're like, "Well, how did you train for Recon?" "What are you talking about? Fucking ran and did push-ups and lifted weights and did what I thought." They're like, "What would you do now?" The program that we wrote.
Yeah.
You know, if I was going to go to Buds, I would go seek out subject matter experts, and I would do exactly what they said.
Yeah. That's exactly what I would do.
But we didn't have that.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't have, like, when I got in the pool, someone taught me how to swim. That was it. Like, I didn't.
Man, you didn't even really knew how to swim well?
No.
Were you in?
No. I sink like a fucking rock. Like, literally, I have a gift. I can go out there and go.
I think that's problematic for being a SEAL.
Man, I don't listen. The job. Listen, if you have a mission, you have vision and value. The goal is to get it done. That's what I did.
So 4 months you had to go to Buds, and then did you start training? What'd you do?
I was already training, brother. I didn't change. I didn't change anything.
You didn't change shit.
I didn't change. No, my regiment was already where it needed to be. It's just like on the weekend, I would go out and like have a drink, and I still do, right? Yeah. And I even had that mindset back then. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's a cheat day." No, it's not, motherfucker. It's a reward day. I'm not a cheater. I don't cheat on anything.
I hate the cheat stuff.
that, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're getting up this morning. I saw you. You're eating your icon meals. I'm eating my oatmeal. I mean, dude, you're going to be, 40? I'm going to be 50. I mean, this
takes fucking work.
This combat chassis that you see, this is hard fucking work.
It doesn't happen naturally.
That doesn't. That's the thing. People think, you know, shit comes easy. You know, they think that you just play a video game or you watch or you read a book and you're going to, no, man. You know, and, you know, case in point, we had, you know, we recently, and I'll touch on the subject, we recently had someone just pass away at Bud's. It happens.
Yeah.
We had this conversation, you know, and Jason Redman's been on CNN doing it, and it's,
he was talking about, what was it called? Surf therapy?
Surf therapy. Listen, here's what it's called. And again, it was called surf torture when I went through.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah. Surf immersion is what I think they've has coined it. Yeah, you know, obviously, and I want to respect I have nothing but respect for Spec Ward, but there's nothing fucking therapeutic about getting your ass handed to you in the water hour upon hour. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Me and Rob O'Neill had this conversation this morning. He was like, he calls it surf meanness. That's what he said we should change it to.
But it was CNN, so they had to clean it
and that's
up.
Okay. But my point to this is, gentlemen, if you're going to sign up for something like this, number one, no matter what it's a dangerous program.
Yeah, it is.
There's only so much safe that you can have in a dangerous environment.
This is what I tell, they're like, well, how do I, prepare? I'm like, well, you control what you can control.
Yes.
So, and just like with anything, you remove variables. Like when we go on a mission, there's a certain amount of variables that are outside of our control. So we have contingencies, but then we plan for the variables that we can.
Yes.
And we mitigate those risks as much as possible. So if I take that same concept and apply it to buds or selection or, ARS or, BRC now, then I'm like, okay, what do I know and how can I train myself both physically and mentally to mitigate as many of those risks as possible?
Yeah.
And then, the twisted ankles, shit, man, you can't, there's nothing you can do about that.
And,
you know what I'm saying?
And post that life, right? We're obviously businessmen and stuff now. I'm still a control freak. I control what time I get up, what time I go to bed. I didn't have control over that workout yesterday. I'm fucking dying over that. But I control as much as I can with I control who I surround myself with, who I do business with. I think because here's the deal, right? You know as well as I do. You could go to sleep and never wake up. You can get in the car, anything could happen. So I control the variables of my life that I can. And I feel that that's really making me a better version of me. But on a side note, I want you to know that I have my chair up so high to be your height. My feet are not even touching the ground and I'm losing feeling in my feet. So sorry, I got to
put them on the,
there we go. Holy shit.
Put them on the beam on the table.
Nick's a lot taller in real life than you would think. I'm like sitting up straight. He's slouching it up. We're still.
What's funny is his dad is your height.
Yeah, it's true.
He's the exact same build as well. He's gotten older, but he's got like
how tall are you?
Dad is little.
6 foot.
But you're a big guy. You're like,
it's crazy because like you look at you on the internet and you look massive. I look at myself on the internet. I'm like, you're just average.
But everybody always says, I thought you'd be taller. Like, kind of like the Dawn. I thought you'd be bigger.
What is Ray's height on IMDb?
Oh, that's a good question.
6 foot.
6'2". 6'2".
Everybody's taller on IMDb for some reason.
It's like college, giving your college stats on yourself. Ray Cash Care, 6'2", fullback, 280 pounds.
Bruce Willis says he's 6 foot, 6'1".
He is not 6'1".
That's what he says on it's IMDb. It says that.
Do you know who is taller in real life than I thought? I actually had the privilege of working out with Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
I thought he was my height. He's like 5'9", 5'10". He's taller than I thought.
I think he was like 5'7".
Nope. Dude,
he's so jacked, I think, that it
God
looks like he must be shorter.
What did you say he was? 75 now?
75. I worked out with him right before his birthday. Gunnar, that was due to Gunnar Peterson.
Gunners, yeah.
Love you, Gunnar. I don't know why I toasted because he's not dead, but love you, Gunnar. Yeah.
He's like the Godfather though, so it's like.
And I tried to be cool too because he was like one of my bucket lists, Trish has bucket list of men she can sleep with. I have bucket list of men that I would sleep with
or work out with.
I'm kidding. But I kept my composure. But he was what's up?
I would love to. What a
just
savage.
FYI, that's the second search for you. When you put in Google Ray Cash, it comes up height.
Damn.
Does it really?
Everybody's looking to find that
Did you
out.
guys ever see?
What a bunch of dicks out there.
Did you guys ever see the Alexa video I did?
No.
I want you guys to go in there and say, Alexa, who is Ray Cash Care? And it'll tell you. and then ask, is he handsome? And it will say, blah, 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 says that he is extremely handsome and very caring. Oh, my, I was like, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Alexa, don't lie. Alexa, don't lie.
Alexa's a lying bitch. Don't lie. I don't. So Buds, you got your shot at Buds.
Got it.
How old were you at the time?
22. I turned 23 in Hell Week.
That's good.
Turned 23 in Hell Week.
Big difference going then, Vice going at 18, 19 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is Mitch Aguiar went at like 18 or 19.
Well, he's a
fucking freak in nature.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love God. Just like, I'm strong. I arm wrestled him. He almost ripped my arm out of socket. My good arm. Like
I gotta get up there because I want to get on the mats with him. And I told him, I said, my goal is 60 seconds.
He is so
You can't submit me in 60 seconds. That's like riding the 8-second bull.
kind of like that episode of Entourage where what's his name fought. What's her name?
I didn't see
Lindsay.
that.
Yeah, when she was like tap out, and if he lasted a minute, she go on a date. She snapped his arm with the driver. What was his name? The little.
I know you're talking about. Yeah, the brother. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I told him. I said we're gonna get on the mats, 60 seconds.
Yeah, he's been quiet lately. I miss him. He's such a great dude. That's actually
No, he's not quiet. He got his 300 something thousand.
No, not that. I mean, but he was on his other one because usually I get notifications for his. He's kind of like Ian Smith now. He has to have like 12 backup. Yeah, I love Ian, right? We love Ian. But it's crazy. And true story, you guys know that I'm the push-up king.
Yeah.
I give him credit. I got that from him.
Really?
Yeah. I'm sure he got it from somewhere, but like teams and stuff. But he started doing that 17 push-ups on the minute every minute. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. And I kind of and I told him, and I always give him credit, because a lot of people do that. They'll just take someone's idea and run with it. But I always give, Big Mitch. I wouldn't want to get hit by Mitch. Beast, man, fucking beast.
Dude, he did a snap down on Greg Anderson and almost knocked him out.
Yeah. And Greg's not a small guy either.
No, he's a brother black belt.
Yeah.
He said he snapped him down so hard on the mats that he saw Tweety birds.
Mitch is literally pound for pound, and I'm probably one of the strongest guys ever. I don't know, he knows how to use angles and stuff like that, but he's just strong. I'm a strong guy, big wrestler, and it's like bam, bam, and just boom, boom. I'm like, I scream, and he just laughs.
I'll ride that roller coaster.
Ride it, baby. Ride it. Ride it.
He gets a hold of me, not even 8 seconds in, done.
And he's a humble dude too. That's what he's got a great heart. I love Mitch.
He's doing good. I just wish he would get his account back.
I do too, man.
Yeah, man.
Same thing, but
he's a verified. He's a UFC fighter. He's done his time in the service,
and he's no slouch when it comes to he's a savvy businessman.
Yeah.
He's doing very well for himself. I'm happy. I'm proud of him. It's funny because I'll call him, and it's when we both wear hats. If you look at the video, he looks like my son, just a bigger, younger, better looking version.
I can see that. Yeah,
but he does, and people always ask, "Is that your son?" And I'm old enough to be his dad. And it's like
I was gonna say, how old is he?
In his early 30s.
Damn, really?
Yeah, dude, it's very successful, man. Good on him.
Good.
Hey, let's get back to talking about me. Fuck me. No, I'm kidding. I love you, Mitch. Don't punch me. No, I'm kidding.
I'll never forget when Greg went up there. He set him in that sauna. So not only did he almost knock him out, but then he made him puke because he sat in the sauna for so long. Yeah. He came out and puked.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's horrible.
That's another guy. I met him, Anderson, at Ian's place.
That's right. When you went up there to...
I don't think he's a fan of me either.
So
it's funny. People either love or they hate me. There's no in between.
So I think that... So Recon Marines and Marine Raiders, we come across Navy SEALs. It seems like we come across Navy SEALs quite a bit. And so I had, in my career, I've... I don't know. I'm just used to Navy SEAls.
Well, he was a Ranger, wasn't he?
Banter, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So I don't think Rangers and SEAls come across each other very much. So.
What's funny is I reached out to him. I don't care. I'm like, hey, get my ass whooped. And I said, hey, man, I thought I was following you for the longest time. So I followed him for a couple weeks, and he wrote like some little snide thing back. And I have a guy that runs my account. He actually said, dude, because I thought it was like he was giving me a compliment, and my buddy Ryan was like, "Dude, that's not a compliment." So he was like,
"That's a velvet dagger."
He said, "He goes, I unfollowed him for you." I was like, "Why'd you unfollow him?" He goes, "Dude, that guy ain't gonna follow you back." I was like, and I like him, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, man."
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think that unless you just know the SEAL personality.
Yeah, I'm a big person. I'm a big personality,
and a lot of them are.
Yeah,
but you have to if you're comfortable playing with that.
Yeah.
then, you know.
Yeah, he don't seem like he jokes around a whole lot. I don't know. I don't know him.
Yeah.
Maybe when he gets to know you, but like I love I love what
Rangers
he's
are
doing.
a little more serious.
Yeah.
They're a little more
Matt
serious.
Best is like
I was
one of
about
my
to say, except for
Matt's one of my best friends. I mean, Matt's a great guy.
There's a handful out there, but for
Yeah.
the most part, they're pretty.
Matt sees my potential. He loves me.
Anyway, so Buds, you joined Buds. How did that process go? Tell me about it.
Fucking great, man. Fucking started with Bud's Class 200. I was a Smurf crew,
What year?
1994.
And you were actually with Redmond, right?
Redmond
He
was in
enlisted.
my boat crew, and then he got hurt, the little pussy, and then he got rolled to another class.
That's on the record.
No, Redmond. I think he got busted up, but he did go through Hell Week with me, and it was funny because we were Smurf crew, and our
So Smurf crew is, you know, when they break out the boats.
it's not the tallest crew; it's the shortest. Yeah,
because they do it by height.
so it was me, Redmond, Monroe, Jamie Monroe, and then Fong and NG, two fucking Singaporeans that were like ridiculous. One, Fong was literally looked like a little professional bodybuilder who would always hype out, and NG was like a skinny little rail. But what they would do in Buds is they would act like they didn't speak English. And as soon as the instructors would go by, we showed them motherfuckers. But true story, one time we were going to do dump boat, right? We're going out. We got to, so just for listeners that don't know what that is, you take your inflatables, you paddle them out through the surf. If you get through the surf, usually you don't. But when you
that's the therapy.
That's the therapy. Yeah. The surf therapy. And then once you get through this hell of getting your ass handed to you by the waves, you're supposed to take your boat, dump it. Everybody falls in the ice cold water. And then you have to flip. Somebody has to get back on it, flip it back over. You know the deal. Do that. Well, it's like, fuck that, man. We just made it through the surf. So what do we used to do? Take our chem lights and act like we were doing it. Oh yeah. And they do it. So they do it. So anyway, we knew that his name was Mike Mayer. Mike Mayer Nightmare. It's like the world's worst, meanest fucking Buds instructor on the planet. And we knew he was out there in a kayak. So when we went through it, Fong and NG, you know, I'd be like, hey, we got to dump the boat. And they're like, no, we know dump boat. We got to dump boat. So anyway, like they're not listening to me. So and back then we had to wear the Protec helmets because someone had a concussion. Yeah. So I just take my paddle and I start beating, right, smacking them right in the helmets with the thing, right? Jason's there like, whatever. And all of a sudden I hear, Care Bear, stop killing the Singaporeans. And I think it's like a voice from God because, you know, we're exhausted. Dump the fucking boat. So they jump out and we do it. But they just were like, they were the coolest guys in the world, but they were so fucking lazy, you know? And
well, they're going to get away with everything they can get away with, right?
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, every time that we've had a foreign country come into one of our training programs, I mean, they push the line, man.
Well, they do because they know that they have a little bit more leeway. Yeah. But the thing is, you go home. I don't know if we were always like, are you going to get caned? Are you going to get whipped? What's going to happen to you? And they're like, oh, we know, go home. Like, okay. But
so did the chem light trick ever actually work?
It had worked, but it didn't work with the Smurf crew because we were so fucking little. So even when we put our hands up, they were like, you motherfuckers, we know this. Because the boat would go up like, you know. So it just didn't happen. But yeah, went through first phase, second phase, third phase. It was
anything like all the like the stuff that you kick ass at. That stuff's boring. What really kicked you in the dick?
My biggest fear, and I would tell you my biggest accomplishment in Buds too, but your wife's here, so I won't. But my biggest fear was the 50-meter underwater swim. Scared to death of it. Just scared to death. And true story, you know, you have all your principles and your Archimedes, and bottom line, you know, you're supposed to dive down. Deep. Like, and the thing was, is the pool wasn't that deep. Like, what it was we'd swim back and forth. So you have to jump in for the 50-meter underwater.
I've never been to that pool. But I've been to the SEAL pool.
Got it. So what you have to do is jump in without kicking off the wall, do a flip.
Right.
Swim to the one wall, then you can kick off the other side. Well, old Ray Cash Care said, fuck that. I did my flip. Water went up my nose. Shit. So instead of diving down, I just start doing this surface. Because as long as your head doesn't come up, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Which, you know, goes against everything. So anyway.
It makes it so much harder.
It does, yeah. And what happened was, and truth be told, is I kind of saw the instructor. And I kind of and he knew it too. He was pissed. I kind of did one of these. I swam over and bumped into him and went, oh, and popped up and he was like, And it was Roger Gehring. He was like, you little motherfucker, you get back in line right now and you do it again. I know what you did. And I just played, that's when I knew my acting career was going to take off. What do you mean, sir? I would never do that. So anyway, he got back in and I was like one of the last guys to do it. And like, they were just watching me. So I jumped in again. I was like, and I mean, I was scared shitless. So I jump in, do the flip, no water up the nose. Yes, go down, boom. For me, mentally, it was harder to get to the first wall than it was a second. I don't know why, but as soon as I kicked off that second wall, I was like, I got this.
I'm going to make it.
Well, anyway, I'll never forget, there's a guy named Tom Bostic. He graduated, great dude, Kill House instructor, and he was a big swimmer, but he was a big guy like you, and he was just kind of one of these guys. Just smooth and graceful. Well, anyway, and I'm like, just getting it done, right? I am not graceful in the water at all.
Just using all kinds of oxygen.
I swim like I make love. I power through it, baby. So anyway, I'm like, he's kind of ahead of me, and I'm watching him, and all of a sudden, I just see him go limp, and he just starts, I'm like, oh, no. So
he's out.
He was out.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I'm starting to get the tunnel vision. I'm like, oh, no. So, man, I power through that thing. I pop up, and you're supposed to, I feel fine. I jumped up, man, like I fucking chariots of fire. I was like, yeah. They're like, get the fucking back of line. And I see them resuscitating Tom. And he's like a big South Carolina boy. Oh, shit. And they just resuscitated him, get back in the water, and he did it. But that was my biggest fear of buds. And then. So
it wasn't the sleep deprivation. It wasn't the cold water, all that shit, being sandy and miserable.
It was the 50-meter underwater swimming. Once I did that, I knew I had it. Now, truth be told, if we rewind back to first phase, Lieutenant Massa was his name. He was the first phase OIC. I have, I'm dealing with it now, my back. I have a bad back. I have some disc issues, compressed fracture, all this shit going on with my back. Well, anyway, when it really acts up, I literally will be canted like this. And if you pull up my shirt, my spine literally goes like this. It's just because they're touching. Well, anyway, I'm really good at pull-ups and push-ups. I couldn't get up on the bar. This happened a week before Hell Week. A point in your face. Sorry. But anyway, the medics are there and they're like, Care Bear, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. And what is going on is his name was Todd Vandergriff. He was my LPO. He was helping me up because I was in so much pain and I was just I couldn't do anything. So anyway, they jumped down. I'm like, and they were like, pull up your shirt. And when they pulled up my shirt, they're like, what the and they knew exactly what was wrong. And now, what was so cool about me is somebody was always on my side. I always got hurt on a Thursday or Friday. So I had the weekend to recover. So they were like, listen, we're going to bring you in Monday and you're getting rolled to your next class. And I was like, shit. Like you didn't want to get rolled. I wanted to be an iron horse. I wanted to start my class and finish my class. So this is like, I have no money, no nothing. I borrowed money from guys and I went and got acupuncture and I did all this stuff and iced. I did nothing. Usually, on the weekends you drink or whatever. And I came back that Monday and I had to go back in, just like I was supposed to do jiu-jitsu with you today, but I wasn't smart back then. Now I am. And I went in and Lieutenant Moss is like your size, just a fucking big dude. He's like, Care Bear, because that's what they knew me as. I'm going to roll you to class 202. I'm like, sir, and you don't, sir, may I say something? And he was like, go ahead. I said, listen, I know I have to make up, and I had to make up not tying. And because it was Monday, I missed the 4-mile time run. I said, can I offer this up and make a suggestion? And he was like, just sat back and he's like, what?
Let me sell you on why I'm going to stay in this class.
And I did. I said, if you let me stay in this class, I will go make up these events right now. And like with swims and things, you get 2 chances. And I said, if I don't pass anything, like I didn't say first time, but like if I don't pass the swim, because I sucked at swimming, with the 2 chances, I don't want to get rolled, I'll quit. And he literally went, what? I'm like, if I don't make the standard, as in like, he goes, you understand you have 2 chances to make things. And after that, you get rolled if you're a great guy and I said, I'll quit. And he asked me why. And I told him, I said, because no one ever believed in me about graduating buds. I had my mother buy a non-refundable ticket. This isn't about, and he told me, he's like, you have to go through buds for you. And I said, I know, but right now, this is my motivation, my drive.
My why.
My why at the time. And that was the biggest thing that I used to do wrong. My why was to prove everybody wrong. Now my why is to prove myself right. Yeah. Bedros Koulian taught me that. And he was like, son, do you understand what you're asking me? What you're throwing on the table? I'm like, yes, sir, I do. And he literally just stood up, and I mean, the mountain of man, he was a fucking man. He shook my hand, almost broke my hand. Okay, I'm going to go take instructor Joe Hoss with you. Joe Hoss was the guy from The Rock, the big black guy. Let's go. He used to play for the Oakland Raiders. So first thing he says, we're going to go do knot tying. So we went to the tower. This is when the tower was still running. So swim down 10, 12 feet, whatever it is, tie your bowline. Boom, tie your Beckett. Boom, tie this. And I tied them all. Came up, done. All right, Care Bear, you did good. I want you to tie them all now. What do you mean tie them all? Tie them all. I'm going to come down with you. So Joe Hoss, I went down because there's a little place for time. So instead of me looking, he just was. So I went with the bowline first. Boom. Tied everything. Boom, boom, boom. And as I'm just looking up and he's giving me the okay. Last one I tied was my right angle because that was just the easiest one to get off and pull going up. Sorry about spitting. And as I'm swimming up, I felt like someone was pulling me down. And I guess I got to about 3 feet and I blacked out. Picked me up, resuscitated me. And I'm like, oh my God. He was like, you're good. Now you got a 4-mile time run. I was like, because back then no one gave a shit. It's that was it. I was like, okay. I did my 4-mile time run. I joined my class. Gus Kaminsky was in charge of it. Welcome back. And I was like, and that was all it took. I think someone was testing me. I really do. I don't want to get real religious, but a greater power said, listen, you passed your 50-meter underwater swim. Now we're going to throw this obstacle at you because that's what life's about, getting obstacles and how you're going to overcome and conquer
how
them.
many people would just have taken that well, I guess I'm getting rolled.
Man,
that's it.
It was it. But I knew, I know this sounds so cliche and I'm talking to another operator. My fucking destiny was to graduate with that class. And people don't understand it unless they've been there. I had to start this and finish it with those same group of men, And then next week I had Hell Week, which was fucking a blast. I mean, it sucked, but it was awesome. And here you go. Here's a great story. Spec War, you'll love this about us. So when you graduate Hell Week, obviously, what happened to the individual. You're monitored for first 48 hours. Back then it was just hey, we'll check on you in the morning. So Jason Redmond and I were both enlisted. And I mean, dude, I had some chafing, but there were guys that were missing hair that never grew back.
Oh yeah.
They were destroyed. And me and Redmond just looked like we got in a bar fight. So when it was over with, Jason's like, hey man, because I had a truck and he didn't. He goes, you hungry? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm hungry. He goes, let's go to Hooters. So true story. I told you, I'm wearing bunny slippers, a pair of cutoff jeans that were entirely too short for public TV today. And Jason's wearing whatever. We went to fucking Hooters and we were a wreck. Our hands, our nails, remember your nails? I couldn't even pull my wallet out. Well, anyway, we were so fucking delirious that we ate our ass off and we left and we forgot to fucking pay. So as we're out there, we're like, we got to get the fuck out of here because we're in trouble. So we try to run and we're like, we can't move, right? We're trying to get to my truck. But it was epic, just the stuff that we did. We actually went out the night that Hell Week, it secured. We went out that night, and then, all the crazy shit happens when you're sleeping, all the water. And
oh, yeah.
But I don't think drinking 3 beers and eating fucking sodium helped.
No.
But that was the shit that we did.
That's what I did.
Yeah, man, it was great.
I remember those times, coming off those weeks of that type of training and stuff, and you haven't slept in days. I mean, you are just delirious. Your body hurts in ways that I can't even explain. Oh. And then you would go out because you're young and you're like, fuck it, we're going out to drink beer and eat pizza or something.
We were it was a different time. And now when you go to the team, it's like they've got chiropractors and they've got they've got psychologists and we used to have the roach coach who went out and ate fucking quesadillas.
No, man, you got PTs and acupuncture and all kinds of,
Well, we're getting smarter, but the thing is back in our time,
it keeps operators
healthier longer. There's definitely a higher attrition rate for longevity. Right. I agree. But back in the day, man, it was all about just get it done. CrossFit we did that. We just threw shit around heavy. Back it was how big can you get?
Yeah.
It was awesome. I miss those days. I do miss it. But as well as I do, there was a lot of political bullshit that you had to deal with, at least the SEAL teams that we did.
Of course. And that's one thing I tell people is is the grass greener? Sure, it's greener. But you're going to deal with some things that are a little bit more frustrating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you really do, when you started getting into the SOCOM world, you do have to unfortunately deal with a higher level of U.S. politics.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of sometimes can steal your joy, especially if you run into anybody from the State Department.
But I wouldn't go back and change a fucking thing.
No, neither would I.
I mean,
Neither would
I wouldn't be where I am. You know, it's funny. I always tell people, say, you wouldn't be where you were if it wasn't for the SEAL teams. This is what I tell people, and they laugh. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And people are like, what? I'm like, and it's true. I worked my ass off to get where I'm at right
nobody,
now.
you don't just float through those courses.
No.
You know what I mean?
But now all my efforts, right? Obviously, you know, so did that 12 years with this, you know, I was in the Navy for 12 years, 8 years of that was a SEAL. And then I went over to the agency.
When you got out, why did you get out? What was the reason?
I had gotten some trouble when I was younger and there was a knife involved. And I don't think I would have ever put on chief and this and that. And I didn't I kept missing. I was over at SDV. I kept missing the battle. Like you join up, you want to go to battle. At least that's what you think you want to do. And that's when I got into the world of hearing about contracting and the money that could be made. And that's when I met Trish, my wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could make this much money, or back then I could make $60,000 in a month. I didn't even understand all the shit about taxes and stuff. Because I was
but it sounded good.
But it sounded good, you know?
Yeah.
So obviously, I was making X amount. I was making $40,000 a month, but I just was like, you know what? I want a little bit more freedom of being able to come and go. So I spent 14 years with them and made a shit ton of money. But like anything, it took its toll on me. Seeing a lot of your brothers die. And that was where then we started integrating. We weren't just straight SEALs. I was working with, Recon, and I was working, some of my best friends are Recons, and even, we had Rangers, and we had combat controllers, and it was just like, you just take us, and we were in an element where we were providing security. And I did that, was a firearms instructor, and did, the Spagil stuff, the Zero Dark 30 bullshit.
Yeah.
For the next 14 years, but that was taking its toll on my family. I mean, being gone 8 months out of the year, pretty much for 14,
That's what people don't, I think they I get hit up with, like, what's contracting like? It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. Yeah. Is the money good? Sure. But is money the answer to everything? No.
What I would do too is, like, I remember when my wife was pregnant with Nyla, we had to do in vitro. And back then, they're like, you can't put a price tag on your child because you can't. Well, $27,000 is what it costs for us to do in vitro. And
what year was that?
She's 13. Holy shit. 2007 or 8, because I was in Ramadi back then. Yeah, Ramadi.
What do we pay?
It was a lot less. It's
20?
gone down a lot over
like
the
20.
years.
I think
Yeah.
Dimitri cost about 20 grand.
No, and I said there no insurance, nothing covered that. Like, I don't know, nothing.
Yeah.
So it's funny. My 16-year-old son was giving my wife the shots that she needed. He was like, I wish he would have been a fucking doctor. But shit just changed, and it was like, I didn't want to. They're like, oh, you can do a payment plan. I'm like, I'm not putting a payment plan on a kid. So I did like 103-day trip at $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Well, that was when I was with MVM. And I was in Ramadi, and man, we were fucking turning and burning. And I was there with like Randy. I was there with legends.
Yeah.
Right. Legends. Like Randy Rhodes is a god in SF. And I was there with Southside, one of the guys that got killed in when the explosion went off, and with Jason and those guys. Just one of the best crews I've ever been with. But the problem that I had with contracting is I was coming home after 103 days or 60 days, and I was trying to pick up with where I left off. Well, she evolved and has grown, right? Like, case in point, when my daughter was born, I was gone literally all of her buildup except for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as my daughter was born, I left like a month later. And like when I left, I'm holding her neck. And when I come back, everybody's laughing at me, like going, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm holding her the same way. I was just picking up where I left off, but what I didn't realize is
we always think it's a weird thing. We always think that like time
stops. It doesn't. Yeah.
No, you're just you're just missing shit.
Even though I was calling my wife and everything, and I'll tell you the greatest invention that was ever invented. Thank you, whoever invented the fucking camera computer.
Oh, Skype
Yeah.
back in the day before.
Dude, because I'll tell you what, I don't know who was monitoring that shit, but boy, they were getting shows. Me and my wife, she'd be like, look, dress it up. I was like, yeah, baby. Because it used to be the phone.
Yeah.
917, you dial the number on the black phone.
Yeah.
And you sat there in front of all the guys, like when we were in Missoula, and all the guys would be there listening to you. Oh, tell Trish I said hi. And,
there's no privacy.
There's no privacy. But then we got the fucking camera. You wouldn't see anybody again. That's all guys were doing. They were just like jerking off, right?
It's funny how those things evolve, right? Because my first deployment, I was gone 7 months, and dude, I barely even spoke to my family for 7 months. I mean, it was like letters here and there, and then every once in a while a call, maybe once a month.
Didn't you say you guys were sending each other VHS tapes and stuff?
Yeah, she would send me VHS tapes to the kids,
but we still made it work. That was what was amazing. But now, like at the end, my wife would be like, "Can you stop calling?" Like, you have time on your hands.
Hey, I'm busy.
Yeah, she's busy, and I would like, I want to talk, and she's like, "I don't miss you because you're talking to me 6 times a day." Seriously. So now, but then if I didn't call her, she'd be like, it's like,
"Are you dead?"
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
But sometimes you go on missions. Sometimes we fly in and do halves and stuff, and it would be gone. But I'm not pulling out you wouldn't pull out a cell phone in certain areas and stuff. You'd be careful. So there'd be some times where I go 3 or 4 days, and like when I was working in Syria, there'd be a couple days where we never talk. She hated that, but I'm like, I would think to myself, bitch. I would think that you used to say, don't air that, cut that out because it's don't do that. But I'd be like, you get mad if I call too much, but in all actuality, she needed that. You know what I mean?
Of course. So did you go? So you got out and went straight into contracting?
Straight in.
So you really never left the military mindset.
Never.
You never really transitioned from.
This is Joan. Go and listen.
Never transitioned from like that job.
Never.
So then did it catch up with you on contracting?
Yeah, when did it catch up?
Yeah, when did it kind of catch up with you to like, oh shit, I need to work on myself and figure, because we all have to deal with that.
When everything changed when my daughter was born.
That's when it started.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even, my son was around and he was cool with it. That's the life he knew. But I was like, I don't want to live this life with my daughter. Like, and man, I'll tell you what, I mean, having a son and a daughter, it's so cool, but it's so different.
Yeah, it is.
So different.
Definitely is.
We were having that conversation. Boy falls down. Get up, boy. Stop. Let me tape up that, I'll tape up that. I'll get some glue. But your daughter falls on her butt. Oh my God. And it's not fair, but that's how real men are wired. We want to protect women. And I was like, I want to be around for her.
Yeah.
And that's where, I was looking and looking and looking, and I'm very, I didn't want to just jump into something else. And it took a long time. I mean, fucking long time before I found Bedros.
Yeah. You've been at this game for a while now.
Which game?
Like outside contracting, just, work and
I've been
entrepreneur life.
I've been entrepreneur. Listen, entrepreneur is a guy who gets up and takes risks. So everybody's a fucking entrepreneur. If you look at the definition, I'm always taking risks, but being a real entrepreneur and getting in business is a lot fucking scarier to me than battle, because I never know who's on my side and who's not. Like, that's what we've had these conversations offline. It wasn't until I met Bedros. I mean, and that's the thing, man. I'm very selective who I trust. And it took me a long time. Like, I've done a lot of gigs, and I've done some speaking and stuff. But the minute that I met Bedros, we tell that story about the drinking, and we have so much in common, and we just hit it off. I mean, I call him daddy. He calls me boo. I mean, it's just, most people don't have a relationship.
Before that, you did what, a movie?
Yeah, so I was in Captain Phillips. I rescued Tom Hanks. That was the voice. I did The Selection with a great cast of guys. That's Marcus Capone, Sean. I did it with The Black Hammer, Donnie Bowen, Burt Kuntz, piece of shit, I love you, and Tyler Gray, who's now one of the executive producers and on SEAL Team.
Yeah,
great show we did. I did the show with Rob Roy, who was one of our few African-American SEALs, SEAL Team 6 guy, the Snow Bro. We did, that was Ultimate Soldier Challenge. That was when when we won, I was supposed to go up against Tim Kennedy and his guy. And that's when I kind of first met Timmy. because when I won that, I actually won it. Rob was 50 and I was 40. Obviously, Timmy's a lot younger than me. And it wasn't Timmy talking shit. It was whoever his partner was going, yeah, man, Cash in his day would have been a great fucking competition, but he's old now. And I remember I called up Timmy and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like, hey, and I'm like, well, let's start with you, Tim. I'm just saying, listen, don't count this old dog out.
Yeah,
but
right.
and that's how I met Tim. Great guy. And then I also did, after that, I did the Ultimate Soldier Challenge, Ultimate Hell Week for BBC. And that's where we took kind of the same premise. This was before the selection where it was like 30 of England's toughest. And myself and a guy named Woody Minster went over there, who's one of the plank owners of Ground Branch. Team guy, amazing dude. And we went over there and it was so funny because Woody has this fucking gift of knowing who has it. And Woody told me before he goes, because we had it kind of skidded out, he was going to pick. He goes, I'm going to pick who the first class leader is, and I guarantee you, I couldn't make this up, they will win the show. And he picked Claire, a woman, and she fucking destroyed it. I was like, how do you know? I got goosebumps. I said, how do you know that? Because he was a buds instructor. He goes, I just knew.
You just, when they walk in.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I was like, I'm taking you to Vegas, and he's like, I just know who's got it. And literally, she crushed it. She was like, master's degree from like Cambridge and blah, blah, blah. And she was in shape. And he was like, she's got what it takes. And I was like, there's no way. There's no fucking way. Like we had like professional athletes and she won.
Well, you've seen it, man. Like I've seen like, D1 quarterbacks come into our stuff and then, I mean, they're like physically, they're studs, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you've got somebody like, God, I hate to throw him under the bus. Old Isaac. Our guy Isaac,
yeah,
does he works out there for you guys too, who mentally he just like, I'm gonna power through, and then this D1 guy's crying in the thing because he's sleepy, and his muscles hurts.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. So you would be in what's called the dream team of buds, the big guys, the guys that remember we were talking the Baywatch running. I'm in the back doing this, look like a little fucking penguin, try to keep up with you, and we did Steel Pier. Steel Pier, I know to go back to this, and literally the whole fucking dream team, one guy quit, right? One wolf and the rest of the sheep went with him, right? Just boom, they went.
No.
Oh, the whole boat crew went. And literally
they just toppled.
They one did. They just crumbled like fucking weak little sheep. And it was like, all right, Smurf crew, somebody get up. We're like, motherfucker. But it was like,
so explain to people what that is.
What
Steel
Pier is simply this.
Yeah.
So Steel Pier is when they take you to a barge, and it's like, I know people don't think San Diego gets cold, but it gets cold. It's a piece of steel, and it's
water is cold,
and they wet it down. And I shit you not, they make you do certain things. Like first thing you do when you get there, and you jump in the water, and everything's fucking soaked. You have to take off your shoes and put everything in there. Like it sucks. And you have to start doing little things, and you can't do it. Like tie your shoes, put them in the left corner you have a box, and your shirt in this, and you're just like, so then they make you stand back up. Now you're just like your skivvies, and you're like cattle. They move you to the end of it, the white buffalo, and you go in again. Everybody hits each other. You stay in there, tread water for a couple minutes. You come out, and like they pick the fucking windiest days of the year to do it. You know what I'm talking about? And you sit out there and you freeze. And when I say freeze, they make you lay down. And when you're getting up, your skin is sticking to the steel. And this is another story I always talk about Jason Redman. I don't know how it worked out, but I was with a gentleman by the name of, I think, Bonham, and I think he didn't make it through Hell Week. He quit, but he was in the officer, and he was in my boat crew originally, and so was Jason. So when he left, it was kind of like Jason and I, and for some reason, I would always go in front of Jason. He was enlisted at the time, and it's when your body and mind just say no more.
Yeah.
Right. But I wasn't going to quit. I just wasn't. I programmed myself. I'm not going to quit. But
I'm going to die here.
And I literally thought I was.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like defied the law of gravity where I'm like, nothing, it just wouldn't go. Jason's like, go. And I'm like, I couldn't go. So I just looked back and I'm like, just fucking push me in. And he just pushed me in. And I needed that moment. If he wouldn't have done that, people ask me would I have quit. All I know is I couldn't move. And it's not a joke. You've been there, right?
Yeah, of course.
Pissing down your pants. I mean, I was literally pissing, and I was anything I could do to try to survive.
Yeah.
And people are like, you didn't do that in Buds. Bullshit. Yes, I did. But Jason pushed me in the water. And I remember like we get out, we're just miserable, we're fucking wet dogs. And he's like, you bitch. And I'm like, whatever. But it was great to have him to do that. And what I do is like in my office, right? I have my office, have my plaques up here. It's not, I love me wall. It's a wall that shows me what I am capable of doing when the shit hits the fan, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, you've got an I love me wall. Man, I mean, I've got tridents, flags, backups. I mean, I've got like 20 tridents that are there. McTeams gave me, I have my own bell that I use. You saw it at the Squire.
Yeah.
But he gave me a picture of the bell. I have that bitch hung up. Like, don't ring the bell. Like, and I need that because business.
It's a reminder.
Yeah, because, working for someone like Bedros Keuilian, who is a perfectionist at everything he does, I fail all the time. I got my ass chewed by him a couple weeks ago. It was horrible. But I just kept grinding. I was like, okay, I've done this. I got my actually first big check with him that I got. I got that. Got a picture of my family. I'm like, motherfucker, I got this. I mean, because that's what men, I'm speaking of men because I don't know shit about women. We self-sabotage ourselves with everything that we do when we get out of our comfort zone. And that's what sets people like us from the people that didn't make it is I refuse to self-sabotage myself, right? I self-motivate myself because, there's internal and external motivation. The people that get through the shit that we've got through, Jason was the external at the time, but he was just a shove, right? But I literally programmed my mind. Like I programmed my mind that quitting was not an option. In second phase, there's somebody who's in charge of the bell who has to shine it. I'll do it. Everybody like fucking, it was the plague. I'm like, I'll do it. They were like, what the fuck? So every night I would go home. I would have a dive buddy. We would run back. It was Jose Hoban. He hated me for it. But I would shine the bell and I set up an apparatus. So, cause if that thing rang, you're fucking done. And in the morning, before a 4 o'clock time run, I'd have to get up at 3, go run the fucking bell over there. But what I did was my mindset is I reverse engineered that. I developed a relationship with that bell. And it was like, listen, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to clean you and I'm going to respect you and I'm not going to ring you. And in return, don't be the magnetic force that brings me to you. And I tell you what, I think that was my secret. I did things that no one else wanted to do. I volunteered to go out to the island before and just get my ass hammered to me.
That's interesting. So instead of fearing it,
I embrace it. I told you that. I embrace fear. Like everybody, people would avoid that bell like the plague. And I was like, it's a fucking
Speaking
bell.
of what you do, we just had Tony Blauer come talk about, did a talk. He was the guest speaker at the Squire program wasn't that a great talk?
My God, he's an animal. Isn't he a fucking animal?
He's
if you could like make a 2022 version of the Tasmanian Devil, there he is.
Yeah.
So smart.
Yeah. But he did a talk on fear.
Fear.
And one of the best talks I've ever heard on the subject.
Oh, he's got it broken down on so many different levels.
Yeah.
I hate him. I mean, he's so good, but it makes so much sense.
He's so accurate.
Yeah.
100% accurate. And I'm actually going to get the full seminar. I don't know if you've seen that, but I'm actually going to buy his whole full seminar on it. And
yeah,
because it's beneficial for what I do, just to be able to, take some of that and be able to share it.
It's funny. I don't think I've ever called him by his. I always call him Coach B. Like I've never called him. He's called me Tony. I'm like, okay, Coach. He's like, but he is. He is a master at what he does. God, he's a subject matter expert in it.
So spinning off from there to all these hard things, right? Mm-hmm. How do you think that's everything you've done in your life and pushing to do these hard things? How do you think that's benefited you?
Well. All I've done, the secret to my success is I've learned how to profit from pain. So I have an equation, and I actually ran this by Bedros, and this is what I live by. Pain equals growth, growth equals power, power equals knowledge, and knowledge equals profit. So all I've done is all the hard shit that I've done, I've learned to accept that in order to grow, you've got to know what you're capable of doing, right? You're never going to grow unless you know. And the one commonality that all people deal with in life is pain. I believe that there are 6 forms of growth, 7 forms of pain. Growth, physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial, right? And spiritual, if we don't want to get into religious, because now if you fucking blink, you offend someone. Spiritual is believe in your fucking self.
Yeah.
Right? But there's also 7 forms of pain: physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, and sexual. I am not a growth coach.
Yeah.
I'm a pain coach. It's that simple. I have dealt with all those pains in my life from a childhood, a bad childhood.
You said something when we were out there. You're saying something like that you were actually, in some ways, in a better spot that your father died than some of these guys that come through.
Yes.
That grew up with a father.
Yes. So the traumas and the pain, I think, right? We talked about this at the Squire program. Men are a double-edged sword, right? We are a savage on one side and a servant. Case in point. I'm going to give you an example, right? You and Mama Bear are at the park. You're sitting down and you're filming. Can I say your son's name?
Yeah.
You're filming. They're about 10, 12 feet away from you and you're filming Dimitri.
Yeah.
Okay? You're on the park bench. I come walking up at your family with my fists clenched, with death in my eyes, not even looking at you. You don't even acknowledge me. Where are you going to position yourself with you and your family?
Close the distance between.
You're going to close the distance. You're going to put them behind you. And we're going to have a verbal, knowing you, it's going to be a physical confrontation real quick. Yeah. You're savage. But when men don't need to understand, that's the pain, right? That's where you unleash the pain. But what men need to understand to be a real man, or what I'm learning now, is you're a servant. You're a servant to yourself and to your family. Like, I don't know how you guys did it. And it's funny because Bedros always says, and I'm going to get to it, you choose your spouse. Let me tell you what. This lion was checking out the lioness, and there were a lot of other lions checking her out. And I had to ask her father for permission. And I got on my knee, and I asked her, will you marry me? She chose me.
Yeah.
From the minute that she chose me and I put that ring on her finger, I realized that, yes, I will be the savage if I need to, but I will also be the servant, serving her. My wife, I love her to death. There she is. She's on my arm. I've got 2 great fucking kids. My job is to serve them. My job is to teach my daughter how to be. I only teach so much with the girl. That's her job. But the boy, it's my job. I need to teach him, and I inflict pain on him. I make him push himself. Jiu-jitsu. He does jiu-jitsu. I used to slap box with him. I teach him how to be a man because he is going to carry on my name. Now, all the things that happened to me, all the pain that I've endured have made me resharpen those blades, right? Because as men, as we get older, right, when we endure a lot of shit, letdown, heartbreak, bankruptcy, you name it, our blade is still there. Like, if your blade is dull and you swing it hard enough, you can still kill. You can still puncture. But what I want is the samurai blade. I want that fucking thing razor sharp. And what most men do, and I'm not saying this is you, but most men, once they get their blade sharp, the mindset is, I'm going to hang it up and use it when I need to. Fuck no.
Yeah.
You got to sharpen it every day. So every day that I get up,
day off.
I was waiting for you to say it. There is no days off, man. If you are a man, right? And again, women, the same thing. Like, it is, and I talk about it. I believe my equation of success is time plus effort equals results.
Yeah.
Bedros Koulian. I took 4 business calls on Christmas. I fucking work. I work 20, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, 400 days out of the year. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. But yes, it does. It makes perfect sense. I'm taking my first vacation in 2 years. I have to. My wife brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
Because I'm so focused on living, and I feed off my pain that sometimes I neglect the things that are important to me.
The most important.
Perfect example. Now, every week that I'm home, I have date, and this is what I tell men. If you have someone in your life that you love, have a date night with them, right? If you have a son, I call it just, man time. I'm not going to say, date night with my son. That's kind of weird. But I take my wife on it.
We're going to man camp.
Camp. Let's go. Get Dia a little gi. Let's go. Yeah. Dia gi. But I take my wife out once a week. I take my daughter out once a week. We try to do things together, right? It's not crazy expensive things, but yes, the pain that I have endured has made me the man that I am. I don't think I would have been, like, if I would have had a normal childhood, I would not be sitting here with you right now. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would probably be sitting at home, being a construction worker or a fucking teacher like everybody else in my hometown.
Mentally soft,
physically out of shape, fucking emotionally a fucking wreck, sitting around living the Al Bundy life because thinking about the touchdown that they won when they're in high school. Some of my friends, when I go home and I love them, they talk about the past. When I get up and I do my speaking events for Bedros, they do the big fucking intro and it's great. And I'm like, listen, we're not here to talk about what I've done. I'm here to talk about what I can do for you right now. All that stuff has given me the street cred to get up here and talk to you. Pain gives you, if you can endure pain, it gives you credibility to those who understand it, right? Like, perfect example. If I'm going through something, I'm going to reach out to Nick and say, hey, I want your advice on this.
Yeah.
I don't want your fucking opinion. Like, if it was something like if I was going through a divorce, maybe I could talk to you about that. I don't want you to say, but if it's something that you don't know about, you're giving me your opinion. I don't want anybody's opinion. I want subject matter experts to help me. I'm a subject matter expert in pain. I've been through every pain there is. So I can literally talk to anybody about anything. But instead of using that as a crutch, I use it as a fucking superpower. Like, if I can endure all that, right? I can do this. Like, and I use it with everything I do. The lessons that I've learned in life and in the military. I told you yesterday when I showed up with Bedros Koulian for my fucking job interview. 3 hours early. He's like, dude, you're 3 hours early. I'm like, shit, I'm late. Because if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're fucking fired. Imagine if, you wanted to work out yesterday. You told me to get down here if I'd have showed up 2 hours late. Now, if it would have been traffic and what did I do? I just got up early.
Yeah.
That's it, because you got one shot, one kill. It's one shot, one kill. And I believe that everybody gets one shot at something, right? That's how it works. I had my one shot. I told Bedros Koulian, I'm not the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. I'm not going to make you the most money. He goes, Ray, stop. This is not how you do a job interview with me. I said, but no one will be more loyal. I'll be the first one and the last one off the battlefield. We were soldiers. Don't watch the movie, read the book. And I said, I will literally bring the shovel and the lime, no questions asked. I'm that guy. And he just held his giant paw out and said, you're hired. And I was like, yes. And that was it. And I wasn't the only frog man he was looking at. But I knew that, and that's my superpower. I'm loyal.
Yeah.
And I'm loyal because I'm loyal to myself. So I'm loyal to others. But I'm very selective who I'm loyal to. I have a very small fucking circle, man.
But I think that's a lesson into itself right there.
Everybody's like, oh, man, you got these blue checks on Facebook and Instagram. That doesn't mean shit, man. That doesn't mean shit. Like, I let people see parts of my life that I want them to see. That's it. I fucking grind. I struggle.
All that shit is garbage anyway, because you could have all that. You could paint the biggest picture and your life could be a wreck. Your relationship with your significant other could be shit. Look at the people that,
most of the time
we can come through. Let's pull it into the project, right?
Yeah.
Looking at these men who come to the project, and I'm not saying all of them, but there's a good handful of them, because I know in our relationship and in my relationship with B, and that a lot of guys come through, relationship with their wife is shit.
Yep.
Sure, they make a lot of money. They're at some point successful. They're not being a good dad.
Yep.
Their kids are doing whatever the hell, and they're not even connected to their father.
Yep.
They're having affairs. Who knows what else, right? But I'm sure if you look at their social media, everything's
hunky dory.
Beautiful.
Yep. Well, that's why we do this.
It's a facade.
Well, I do this. I give you guys a taste of it at the Squire program. Same thing as the project. Gentlemen, you have 4 non-negotiables in life: your family, your fitness, your finances, and your faith.
Right.
Family, fitness, finance, faith. Grade yourself on that. As a family man, every avenue of a man that you are in your life, husband, son, brother, whatever, grade yourself on it. Fitness, are you physically, mentally, emotionally strong? You can be the strongest cat in the world, but if you're losing your shit, right? If you're in the red or the blue, right?
All the time,
you're never in the green, and you have no mental toughness, you're beating yourself up. That's a horrible grade. Finance isn't just about money, but it's about how to create growth, right?
Right.
Success to me, and I want to make this very clear, is not always from a monetary standpoint. My definition of success, so one of the questions that Bedros asked me when I interviewed, he's a defined success for me. And usually it's money and it's this. It's my definition is helping others help themselves. I want to be able to provide a service doing something that I fucking love, which I do.
And believe in.
I want to believe in and make money on it. But in return, I want them to obviously absorb the knowledge that they've learned, change their life, and then have them go out and recruit for me. and it works.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, and that's what's key is understand that. And then faith is simply this. Faith is the ability to believe in yourself. We broke down team, trust, effort, attitude, mission. Team care, man. I believe in my mission, and that mission is growth, physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial. You put them in whatever order you want, Nick. I put them in my order, but I'm going to make sure I'm touching on all 6 of them. Because what most men do, and you just hit on it, is, right? I'll sit in the green room when I'm talking to these guys about the family, fitness, finances, faith. I have a guy that's like, yeah, my family's great. 100 pounds overweight. Make a lot of money. I believe in myself. I'm like, brother, that's an A, 2 B's, and an F. That's not a great score.
Right.
I'd rather be a C average student than that.
Yeah.
I'd rather make less money and put more time in myself. Well, I don't have time. Motherfucker, the only thing that you do have right now today is time and what you do with it. Everybody calls it time management. I'm not a businessman. I'm a warrior. I guard my time. I make sure I work out. Like I got up this morning because my back was messed up. I still got my 800 push-ups in on my 1,000. Stretch, and I'll still get a workout in probably later today after this or when I go home. But you have to believe in yourself and you have to get that fitness in. But the journey starts with believe in yourself. Because here's the deal, man. You're not going to go anywhere in life if you don't fucking believe in yourself. And I'm here to tell the world this. People tell you they believe in you. That's the biggest load of horse shit in life. Fact, it is. There's the select few.
So what's crazy about that is if you look at every single champion, any winner across the board,
yep,
right? They always tell you, "Oh, I imagined myself winning this 2 years ago." So in their mind, they believed they were the number one person. They believed they saw themselves on the podium. They saw themselves get the gold medal. They saw themselves get, the grade, whatever it is, get the job.
Yep.
They saw it years before. So in their mind, it had already happened.
Already happened.
So they were just walking the journey to the point that they already knew that was going to happen.
I saw the same thing with Buds, but here's the thing. All the people that they think are their supporters, you're on the top of the world, they're there for you. You lose a fight or something doesn't happen, watch who fucking runs. They all run.
I like that, though. I think that's the most liberating, because that's happened in my life multiple times, and it's the most liberating thing. That is the most liberating thing ever. And a lot of people, it sucks initially because like, oh, I thought this was my friend. I thought this was my supporter. Yeah. You can mourn that if you want, or you can look at it and go,
that's a gift.
That's a gift because you just figured out who your people are.
And I talk about that all the time. Weeding out the weak, and then I weed out the strong, but I trim the fucking fat, man. Listen, here's the deal. And I've told people this. Let's say you have a company, you have 20 people working for you, right?
Yeah.
You have the seesaw. I talked about this before. You have one negative person in your life or at your business, because there's 3 battlefields of life that all humans deal with. The battlefield, which is the internal struggle, the business field, which is work, and the home field, which is at home. You have one negative person that sits on that seesaw. You need 7 people to counter that. So if you're married and there's negativity, it's a cancer.
Yep.
If you have 6 employees, it's a cancer. And if it's just you, it's a fucking cancer. You've heard this. Average human being has 60,000 thoughts a day.
Yeah.
48,000 of them are fucking negative.
Horrible.
You know why that is? Is because people don't create what I call an POL, a pattern of life. It's where you literally just journal what you do from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, and whatever puts you in that red or that blue or mentally debilitates you, and you start circling that shit.
Can you briefly talk about the red, blue, and green?
Yeah. So
because you were bringing it up.
Yeah, I apologize. So emotional discipline, human beings live in 3 colors of their life. Blue is where you disassociate yourself, right? The cold shoulder, where you just block it out. Let's say I'm yelling at you for 20 minutes. Eventually, you're just going to shut it off. You don't hear anything. Right. Green is where you want to be in the perfect world. That's where you're kind of intuitive and alert what's going on. But then you also have the red, where you lose your shit.
Road rage.
Somebody right?
Somebody says
decision making. Ask, make, take. Yeah. Usually when you're red, you just take action. What you need to do is understand that you need to redline the engine at times, but you need to control the red line, right? When you're shifting a car, I'll get up there. When you get yourself in certain situations, you're going to redline, but you have to self-correct. Sometimes you'll start disassociating from things. Oh, fuck them. That you have to. It's about pushing the limits. And what I try to do is get my green average higher and higher and higher. That's what I do. So that's the emotional, but then there's also mental toughness, right? You have to do drills. When you get up in the morning, I have what's called MOL. I get up every morning and say, be great today, be a bitch tomorrow. My daughter gets up every morning and says, I'm a champion, I'm a winner. My wife gets up every day and says, I may not always win, but I'll never lose. Because you only lose if you quit.
Right.
You learn. And the thing is it's the first thing we say before we get up and the last thing we do before we go to bed. You're programming yourself because the world, news, all the shit that's going on is trying to program you to be negative. And I say, fuck that shit. I am going to control. I am the...
Well, and they're programming you for the best interest of them.
For them. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Not you.
I am programming myself for the best version of me. How can I be a better version of me? How am I going to do that? I'm going to program myself to be better. I'm going to program, like, perfect example. You've got a son, you've got daughters. Would you want to program your daughter to say, I'm going to get up and be in a shitty relationship and get abused by a boy? No. You'd want her to get up and say, I'm going to be an independent, strong woman who's going to do blah, blah, blah. And then what she has to do is do it every day. Because when you're programming yourself to be positive every day, of those 48,000 negative thoughts, it's just knocking them down. Because of those 48,000 thoughts, usually 3 or 4 of them, it's the same 3 or 4 things. It's either a person, place, a thing, or an entity. So my thing is like, if you have a negative person in your life, and when you have these colors, right, this color scheme, I have a marker. And what I do is I journal. And for about 30 days, I literally journal only the things, right? What time I get up, what time I go to bed, because I'm looking for consistency.
Yeah.
What puts me in the red, what puts me in the blue, and what keeps me in the green. And I circle those things. And what happens is, I'm going to overlapping fields of fire, right? You're going to see things that continually are popping up that are putting me in the red, constantly put me in the blue. Then what I need to figure out is how can I get that shit out of my life?
Yeah.
No matter what it is. Right?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's not serving you.
I had to do this with my own mother.
Yeah.
It happens. It affects you. You don't realize it. And the problem is most people, the things that are destroying their life the most are right under their nose. And what happens is because they're just so in tuned and so used to doing it that they just let it go. Everybody in their life has someone that they deal with that they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I got rid of them motherfuckers. I got rid of them all.
The way I like to express that specific thing is you never go into a room or hang out with somebody, and when you get done with that interaction, you're just tired.
Oh yeah.
And drained, and you're just like, fuck, I feel like I need to go take a nap or get
They're like a
drink.
black hole.
Or a
They suck you.
shower.
Yeah, or shower. Yeah, you need to go
Fetal position.
You're just like, oh, I just feel gross. But vice versa, you ever come in contact with somebody for a couple hours, and after that conversation, you're like, holy shit, I want to go take over the world.
They're the magnetic force that draws you in.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I want to go conquer everything now. I'm so energized. Those are the people that you need to surround yourself with.
Yes. And that's what I've done.
And the other people, the ones that are like that stinky pile of trash in the corner that just smells up the room and it just stinks and it sits there and ferments and rots, take it out.
Take it out. Take out the trash, baby. I call it trim the fat. Trim that fucking fat.
Yeah.
I want to be.
And we all have those lives, and you need to take freaking self accountability of like how you feel when you interact with certain people, and guard yourself.
Yep. Lean and mean. I mean, look, we try to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same concept, just different symbolism. Is I want to be as lean and mean as I can. I don't want to have extra weight on me. All that is extra negative weight.
Yeah.
I won't have it. You can't. I'm 50 fucking years old. I'm just starting to get my shit squared away. I mean, seriously, I'm late in the game to it. Because
we talked about that earlier because I don't want to throw all the team guys. I'm not saying all team guys are operators or scumbags, but we go through our time of not living the right way because we're either fighting the enemy or whatever. There's a million freaking reasons why. Excuses. I would say excuses why we don't act like the men that we are today. But how much more fulfilling is your life when you do have those priorities in order?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like I'm fine. Like for the last 2 or 3 years, my life is fine. Like I finally feel like I'm where I need to be. I like it.
And right. And I think that goes goes back to the whole, pleasure over purpose. And we've talked about that a lot on the podcast, but chasing pleasure and is a dark hole that you just constantly are filling up, and you'll never be satisfied. Vice, getting your life in order, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Setting your priorities,
Removing
the trash, trimming the fat, only the things that serve you, being that savage servant, that exponentially changes your life. Not only does it change your life, but like all of a sudden your relationship with your significant other is better. And you don't need all the things that you thought you once need to fulfill you up. Your relationship with your kids is better. Your work is better. Everything, you're just like, man, I like my life now.
Well, a big sign for men that are unhappy, and I figured it out, is I used to do a lot of impulsive purchasing.
Okay.
Had a HSE Range Rover supercharged, and had
that contractor life.
Yeah, and that Defender custom built 1983 Defender 110.
Yeah.
Barely drove either one of them. You see what I'm driving now. Paid in full. I'm happy. My priorities are changing. I'm focusing on other things instead of myself, because I was trying to fill a void that I didn't know what it was. Like, oh, if I have this and I look this way in front of this people. Like I said, man.
None of it means
the
shit.
truck doesn't make the man makes the truck.
Yeah.
And that's...
We were laughing. I said, if I became a billionaire...
I know, we just... Yeah.
If I became a billionaire, I'd drive the same exact vehicle that I have out there right now. I just might also have a plane, but other than that...
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. So I don't have to wear a fucking mask on a plane. Yep.
Jesus, yeah. So on that, like... Tell me, so now you have kind of three different things. You've got the project.
Yes.
You've got the Squire program.
Yes, sir.
And then LTD.
Yep.
Let's get into
which one?
The project, because that's kind of what we've been talking about the last 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
So what is the project?
So the project is a 75-hour fully immersive course, which is held in Chino Hills, California. We run roughly 4 classes a year. This year we're running one in February, April, June, and October.
February's full.
Yeah. February's full. Pretty much almost all the classes are full. Just, we make room because it depends on the situation. Myself and Steve, the Maniac Marine, we are the two gentlemen that we're not salesmen. I don't sell anybody. I'm a salesman, and I interview people. When people get on, they think they're interviewing me. I'm interviewing them. I will turn people down that have the money, and it's not a cheap course. It is, I'll be honest, it's $10,000 for a veteran or first responder. It is $12,000 for a civilian. And people go, why the fuck are you paying so much money for that? For 75 hours. It's not for the 75 hours. It's for what happens if you graduate the project. And let's make no mistake about it. You only have a 60% chance of making it. But if you train hard, and we give you a training program, we give you weekly check-ins.
And if you quit, there's no refunds.
Well, if you get injured, the difference between injured and hurt is simply this. If it's injured, it's legit.
Yeah.
If you're hurt, it's your ego, attitude, or your feelings, right? When men start dealing with discomfort, I know the difference.
So do I.
You do. And if you get injured, you get and you're a good dude. You have a good hall rep, right? Like in our past, we will let you come back free of charge. If you quit, you ring the bell 3 times. My bell. 1 for yourself, 1 for your team, and 1 for everything else in your life, because quitting is the most contagious thing I hear that there is.
And people do it.
Because people think just because they pay the money, they're entitled to just get that's not it. Like I said, putting in the money just shows me that you've got 10 or 12,000 reasons that you're fucked up and you've realized it, that you have to show up.
Right.
What we do is, once you once you graduate, we're then going to put you in, we have a private Facebook group page, which is a hub, where you're going to meet your 109 brothers. And no matter what you do is you get in there and you're going to explain your superpowers. Like, hey, this is Ray Cash Care. I'm 49 years old. I live here. Phone number, address, email. This is my wife. This is my son. It's pretty much a bio of me. Gentlemen, this is my superpower. And whatever you're fucking good at, we want to know. How can you help us? How can you be a mentor? But, here's my kryptonite. Here's my weakness. This is what I need to be mentored at. Lay it out there. Lay it out on the line. And the men what you can mentor, that's the growth. You create growth, but there's also going to be pain. All men have dealt with pain and growth. All of us. If you sit here and tell me you've never dealt with any type of physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, or sexual, which most men in America are 4 out of the 7,
yeah,
then man, let me tell you what, I'll pay you, teach me. But what happens is in that hub is the more vulnerable you are with each sector of that within your group, men are going to be drawn to you, right? And we create, this is what I love about Bedros. Bedros is like, we'll teach you how to make a lot of fucking money, but you can't just have your dessert. You got to put in the work, right? You got to make it. So we're going to focus on the physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual. Then you notice the financials last. Money's last.
Yeah.
You have to focus on you first, and
Because
that's
your foundation needs to be built.
Because that's the thing. Like Bedros says, don't tell me how to fix something if you're fucked up. Yes, sir. You know, like if you got your shit squared away, yes. Like when I want to learn how to make money, yes. And what we're going to do is we are a brotherhood of men who are there for each other, and we have no hidden agenda. You know, if someone needs us, we're there. A guy yesterday called me when I was having dinner last night. I need to talk to you about something. I stopped everything I was doing. How can I help you, brother? And the one thing that we teach there, just like we do in the Squire thing, is number one, it's okay for a man to be vulnerable. Number two, it's okay for a man to fucking cry. And number three, it's okay for a man to say he loves somebody, another man, if you believe in him. That was the hardest thing I had to deal with because I was always taught men don't do that shit. I was fucking taught wrong.
Right.
And what we're going to do is we are there for you for the rest of your life. That's why I have that crest tattooed on me. And we're making a difference. Like everything I do is we're making a difference one human at a time. So that's the project. Next, we have, do you want to go to score?
But to really, really dive into the project, I mean, we're talking about.
Oh, you want me to get dirty with it? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the project, we are literally, this is what I offer. I offer money back guarantees. So number one, in my course, you're going to be wet, cold, tired, and hungry.
Yeah.
Number two, this will be collectively the most physically, mentally, emotionally challenging course you're ever going to attend. And for that, you're welcome. And third, you're going to give me three things that this country was founded on. Blood, you're going to bleed. Sweat, you're going to fucking sweat. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. Like, perfect example, I'm going to put you in an ice bath that's 31.5 degrees. How long? As long as it takes. I am mentally and emotionally going to sweat you out, meaning physically it's easy to sweat you, right? Just heat you up. But when you're in that water, sleep deprivation, you know how long you're going to be in it. Your mind is fucking playing tricks on you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to break that. That's my gift. And then there's going to be tears. And this is what men need to understand. If you become, because this is what men do, all men in life. You're a structure. Right? This is you. And what men do is through time, they build up these walls, right? You're very selective who you let in. Maybe you don't let anybody in, but guess what? You also have people that are inside. Now, sometimes you can implode. And what we do, what Steve and I do, because that's our role, is we come in physically, mentally, emotionally, and we break down those barriers that you have, creating this vulnerable male.
We strip away all.
We strip away
the
everything.
Bravado and all.
And that's what. And when you go through these camps, camps and buds, and we're doing the same thing. We're breaking you down to the bare essential of a man. You're just this pretty much a child. You're back to being a child, this naked child. And what we're going to do is the family, fitness, finances, and faith. We're going to rebuild you back up by creating teamwork, problem solving, leadership, and communication in your business field, by dealing with the team, trust, effort, attitude, mission. And what we're going to do is, because here's the thing, right? You have beautiful house, beautiful beach house. Let's use the beach house, right? Yeah. Beautiful beach house you have. That thing can be as beautiful as you want, but if the foundation is weak, what's going to happen to that house?
Gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's going to fucking crumble.
Yep.
There's no difference between that and a human being. So, and the problem is what people don't understand is the shell of you, man. You look great. You're in shape, big dude, good looking. Hey, but I don't know what's going on with the foundation, which is the internal. And most men are fucking suffering in silence.
Yeah.
And and society has told them, you can't talk about that. That's wrong. That's taboo. No, it's not. What you need to do is get around men who understand that.
Or if that for some reason, if you do, you're not a strong.
You're not a strong man. You're weak. Yeah.
You're a weak man.
Real strength comes from discomfort.
Yep.
Like when you're really when you're expressing like fears, frustrations, doubts, maybe issues that you're having with loved ones. To like if I'm having if I had that problem and we're talking, we're not recording that shit.
Yeah.
That's not a fucking Instagram thing. That's two men fucking talking and trying to create. Right? There's problem makers and problem solvers. What we do at the project is we teach men how to be problem fucking solvers, because a lot of people they just create problems.
Yeah.
And you don't need to. A lot of the
or they're trying to fill that void, and they're trying to, they're creating problems because, either they're lost or they're not fulfilled.
Yep.
And it comes out in the most negative ways.
It does.
But that's the reason. That's really I wanted to really kind of strip away, because people see the ads for a project.
Yeah.
They see the videos that we post.
And they
see,
couldn't be farther from the truth. I know
And
exactly what you're saying.
yeah, and it looks like, oh, I'm going to go pay this money. I'm going to have Ray beat my ass for 75 hours, and then I'm going to go home, and that's it.
No.
That's
What they're seeing is that it's a process like anything
Yeah.
else. In order to, the thing is, in 75 hours, we have to be extreme by breaking you down physically, mentally, emotionally, so that we can get to the core of the issue.
the actual, what the project
root.
really is.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that is redefining and rebuilding and restructuring a man from the internal to the external. Teaching a man that it's okay to be vulnerable. Teaching a man that, most men, just so you know, are fucking selfish.
Yeah.
We're selfish as fuck. And you need to, and there's certain things that you need to be selfish with. Like, and I'm going to go on to this. Like the one thing B told me, right? Your why. Like B asked me, and this is, oh God, I love this, because I get on the phone with everybody and I argue with each one of them. I'll tell a guy and I'm like, what do you want to be? I want to be a better husband, a better father, a better entrepreneur, a better this, a better that. Got it. What's your why? My wife and my kids. Okay. I know you love your wife and kids, so I'm watching what I say here. So this is what I'll say to him. So shouldn't your why be you? What do you mean? How can your wife and your kids be your why if you need to be a better version of you to be a better version for them? And people don't get it. So here's what I'm saying. If you want to be better at being a husband and a father and an entrepreneur, I'm not telling you to lower the standards of your family. What we're doing is teaching you how to raise the standards of yourself.
Well, it's like what he says about, if you're a level 6, level 5, 6 communicator, you're never going to lead 9 and 10s.
9 and 10s. No.
You know
So
what I
what
mean?
we're doing is we're going to make you a 9 and 10 of you so that you can be the 9 and 10 or whatever. It all starts from you. That's what men don't understand.
Yeah.
Like if you want to make money, you've got to educate yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be a better version of you. I am selfish with my why, but I'm selfless when it comes to my family. Mm-hmm. That's what people need to understand. Most men are selfish and they're just selfish. Like I do things now for my family. I do things for other people. The more you, like I said, and I've started coming into more money. Best lesson I learned from Bedros in the project is the more you make, I was like, the more you take, Bedros just literally smacked me. He's like, are you insane? The more you make, the more you give.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this right now, giving back feels fucking good. Like, giving to Shriners, and my wife's mother died of breast cancer, it makes me feel good. And before...
And if you don't have that shit figured out, if you're not making money, you can't help nobody.
You can't help nobody.
You can't even freaking help
You
yourself.
can't. I was just going to that's what the problem with most people are. They're so bitter because they're not where they want to be. And the first thing I tell guys is, if you're not where you want to be right now in your life, I blame you. Now, you can take action, right? Ask what's the problem, make a decision, and take action. That's decision making. And most men are like, I don't have that kind of money. Okay, let's break it down. How much money do you spend on fast food? How much money do you spend on this?
I love that.
I break that down, and men
How many internet subscriptions do you have?
get mad at me.
Yeah.
They're like, that's fucked up. Is it? Or are you guilty like I was, and then realize that the ultimate investment that a human can make in themselves is themselves.
Right.
My wife will never go for it. Well, then let's get your wife on the phone and let's let your wife talk to my wife and how I've changed her life, how I now have a better sex life, how I have better time management, how I am more secure with myself, how I can be, like I will be the savage, but I'll be also a goofball with my family. How, you'll see me doing videos. Ray Care, Navy SEAL, you can't post videos of you playing games on your wife. Why? That's real. The project has taught me this. If you want to be successful in life, you have to be real. Yeah. I'm not going to be this fucking charade, acting like I'm something I'm not. And when you realize that you have to put other things before yourself, except for my why, you're going to be so much more successful. And what's also so great about this is like-minded motherfuckers that are here. And we have everything.
Yeah.
We have white, black, Asian, Mexican, Spanish. It doesn't matter. The one thing that we all have in common is, number one, we realize that we're fucked up, because a real man realizes that no matter how squared away he is, he's fucked up. Number 2, I have so much more room for growth. Number 3, I will be a mentor, but I will be mentored. And number 4, once I get to wherever it is I think I want to be, that's just a check in a box. I'm looking for another one. Like, that's where I come up with it. You used it yesterday on me, you dick, with the attack the hill. Yeah. Attack the hill, which we can talk about. I literally control the ascent and I control the descent versus letting it control me. And then once I get to the top of the symbolism of the top of that mountain is my objective or my goal, taking a breath. I'm not sitting here stroking myself too long. I'm looking for another one because that's what real men do. We're constantly looking for challenge. And the project does that. I am never satisfied because I'm not, listen, there's no such thing as perfection. There's only progression. Right. I am progressing. I'm climbing up that fucking hill every day and I'm getting better. And it's not easy. I fuck up all the time. Trust me. Boy, I've had a couple of conversations with Bedros where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired. He's like, I'm not going to fucking fire you, dude. I'm just teaching you. And that's what I love. And I accept it.
It's what you guys say on the gym out there. It says, never peak. The best is yet to come. Love it. Yeah, right?
What was the word? Hold on. Let me pull up the word that I learned from you today. Malacca.
Number one in all of the world.
Malacca.
So that's the project, and if men are out there, let me tell you something. And those are things that things like the base reconnaissance course, Recon Indoctrination Platoon, selection, buds. These things teach you a lot about yourself.
Yes.
And it's not all, everybody's like, well, it's all physical. Yeah, sure, it's physical, but it's in the same way. It's physical in a way that to get you broken down, to strip away all the bullshit to see who you really are when things get really tough.
The mental and emotional is what really takes its strain on you because we have to peel back the barriers that you've built. That's what the physical's doing. We're chomping away at it. That's the symbolism of it. And most men just think, oh, I'm going to go to buds and I could do this and I don't need to do this. I can do a Tough Mudder. This is not a fucking Tough Mudder.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of tough guys go through our courses and not make it.
No, because they're one dimensional. They think that in order to be a savage, you just need to be physically tough. You couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yeah.
You have to be mentally and emotionally. That's where you have to be a fucking, I was going to say just a savage. That's where it comes into play. I'm not the biggest, the strongest, and the fastest guy. But the thing is I just won't quit myself.
Yep.
I mean, I have no plan B.
So where did the Squire program come from? I mean, I know the history, but like you had the project and all of a sudden it was like, okay, we're going to do this rite of passage thing.
Bedros came up with that idea. Number one, because collectively, we've had some rough childhoods, all of us. My father was murdered. Steve's father and him didn't really connect. Matt's mom was married 8 times. Aaron had a horrible childhood. And Bedros had a father, but he was very strict, obviously Armenian, very old school. And Bedros came up with this because him and his son Andrew have a very great relationship. And he just was looking for something because they do like little adventures and do things. Yeah. And he was saying, how can I collectively come up with something where I can bring men into something that I'm doing and teach life lessons? Because all of us have life lessons, right?
Right.
And that's what we've done. So Bedros came up with this, and the minute that he brought it by our attention, we were like, yes. And then it was like, okay, we need a curriculum. And I'm like, okay. So how that breaks down is, for the Squire is, obviously there's myself, is the SEAL. You have Bedros, the entrepreneur. And again, remember, 4 of the 5 were all fathers. Matt, who is the SWAT operator and the hostage negotiator. Steve, who's the maniac Marine, father, son. He's got a daughter too. And then Aaron. Aaron is the MMA fighter, slasher chaplain. He does not have a child, but he has a dog, so we'll take it. And what he's
very fatherly, though.
He is very, very nurturing, very spiritual, and we need that because Steve and I are maniacs. And what we do is myself, Bedros, and Aaron work with the young men, the young warriors. We're not saying boys here. This isn't boys. This is men. And Steve and Matt work with the fathers. And what we do in this course, right? The Squire, it's about
15 hours.
About 15-hour course.
It's a long day, I'll tell you that.
It's a long day. And if you had to break it down collectively with the physical fitness, I would say it's 70-30. Dads get off easy, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Dads are already battle tested and battle proven, right? What we're doing here in a nutshell is, and we just talked about this because it kind of all resonates between the three, is we're resharpening your blade, but we're helping forge their blade.
Right.
Now,
Right.
you went through, if
I'll say this, and maybe I'm a little bit biased because I do physical hard things all the time. It's not physically that tough.
And it's not meant to be. Like
short spurts.
Short spurts, yeah. But it's like, hey, Dad, we got to put out. But what it's more meant to do is for the young men to see the real role of what a real male role model is.
Right. Together,
right? Yeah. So what we teach here, and I really want to focus on this because this is we're trying to develop and create a new generation. So this is my passion, is this. We focus on the 4 non-negotiables. Hear that overlapping field of fire. Family. First thing that you just went through this course, and I mean, you can attest to it. Family with Jameson, right? He needs to know his role in the family, the male role models, if they're siblings, and mom's role in that family.
Right.
And this is what young men need to understand. If you're 12, 13 years old and dad's not home, you are the man of the house. Sorry, it's just how it is. It's a big responsibility.
You don't get to be a little boy.
You don't, right? It's just if the situation happens, I understand mom still makes the rules and stuff, but you are the man. So that's it. Number 2, fitness. First thing I say to the dads, Dad, are you in shape? What does that have to do with anything? Everything. Your son is going to be a direct reflection of you. So if you're not in shape, get your ass in shape. I tell dads that. Start training with your son right now for this course, right? Do things together. Work out for 15 minutes a day. Young men, do jiu-jitsu. Do a contact sport.
Right.
It's okay to be masculine. Love you, Ryan. It's okay. Masculinity is not a dirty word. No, it's okay to be a savage. But fitness is physical, mental, and emotional. You've got to have a cool head. We teach young men in here, listen, if you are in the situation where you can stop bullying, step up and be a man. Because letting that go.
Regardless of the repercussions.
Listen, here's the deal. I told my son the same thing. If you ever see a man disrespecting a woman or you seeing bullying and you can step up and do it and you get, there will be no repercussions for me. Zero.
And I'll have words with the school.
I will have words with the school, and I'm probably going to take you out and buy you a steak dinner and probably get you a cigar. Right. We won't tell that. But so that's the fitness. Finance is simply this, and this is what we teach them. This is what I teach them. Number 1, the importance of $1. Number 2, fuck GoFund. Go out and get a job.
Yeah.
You can do things, right? And this is what I tell young men. You should not get an allowance for straightening your room up. You should get an allowance for going above and beyond. That's it. Like, go help somebody. Go do something, right? Yeah. My daughter babysits. And this is what I also teach her too. She makes $10 an hour. $6 of it is hers. $4 goes into a pot. Teaching her about taxes. I'm teaching them. And lastly, you ready for this? Mom and dad are not an effing ATM machine. That's it. Be grateful, not greedy. And then last is the faith. Team, trust, effort, attitude, mission. Starts with me, starts with your last name. And you need to understand that your job as a young man in this course right now is we're teaching you that your sole purpose in life is to serve yourself and your family, not your friends, because 99% of the time, they're not your real friends. And once you understand that.
Yeah, and these lessons are not being taught.
They're not being taught. They're not being taught in school. And I'm sorry, I'm not yelling at you, but I get fucking furious about it. Society is teaching men to be weak, and it infuriates me.
And sheep.
And do as I say, not as I do. No.
Don't question anything. Fall in line.
Leaders lead, listen, and learn.
Yeah.
They're not led. They don't hear, and they don't lose. And we get into that later. And then what I also teach these young men is it's okay to, like, and what I love with this too is, let's talk about the course real quick. There's 2 big pinnacle moments in the course that have to happen. Right. And it's, I don't want to say it's a pass fail, but Dad, you're going to get your ass in there, and so is he. And one is the ice bath. And what happens is the father and son, they attack the hill. You don't get in slow. You attack it. You get in quick. They get in, and it's very uncomfortable. And what I love about the course, right, is you always see me. I say, hey, Dad, with your permission, or, and I'll be checking pulse, heart rate, whatever. And like, let's use JMO. He'll start looking at me, and I'll be like, don't fucking look at me. Look at Uncle. He's in it with you. I'm not. I'm an outside, spectator. And what I love about this is that at that moment, I don't care how many businesses Nick runs, how successful he is. Nothing in life matters.
Except for that right there.
Except for that eye contact, right?
We're right here together.
Right here. And like I tell dads, I'll whisper, Dad, get your shit squared away real fucking quick because he needs you. He needs you right now.
And I'll tell you, man, it's a lot for those young men to get in that 31.5 degrees.
And spec op guys, just so you know, we're the worst because we don't, there's no breathing. You're like, Aaron gives, we just get in there like, I do the same thing. And Aaron's like, I'm like, motherfucker, I've been breathing for 49 years, but he's right and
he's
I'm
right.
wrong.
Yeah.
But what happens is he realizes that he's feeding off you and like, look at him, talk to him, walk him through it. And what happens is he's uncomfortable.
Because if I'm panicking, he's going to be like, oh man, if he's panicking, I'm fucked.
You're not allowed to panic.
Right.
That is your role.
Right.
That is your responsibility.
As soon as I control, I mean, obviously I get into ice pass all the time. So as soon as I can get I'm breathing control, I'm like, JMO, breathe. We've got this. But I calm him down.
You calm him down. You're talking him off the ledge, right? But as a father, as a male role model, you have two jobs. Your job is to talk him to the ledge when he's doubting himself and talk him off the ledge when he's losing his shit. Right. And this is what male role models, I sound like Mel Tillis, do, and they need to do, and that's your responsibility and your role. Right. Now, once he gets out of that, he thinks it's over with. We got to heat him back up. We put his ass back in because you're never out of the fight. Right. Right.
The second time was worse.
Second time is worse because then the face goes under.
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey, you just accomplished something, but what do most men do? Yeah, Al Bundy. No, now it's going to get worse because that's what life's going to do. It's going to throw you more and more. And you're going to roar and roar. And every time you come out, you're roaring. And it's so funny because all young men think they're the shit and they think they've got it dialed in. And what's amazing is we have them working on their battle cry, their roar during the day. But then there's a big difference between 12 and 13 and 40 and 50. When we roar, it's deeper. It's battle tested. It's battle proven. And when we do that at the end, you see the young cubs. They're like, they realize, holy shit, man, I've got a long way to go. Right. But I'm on the right path, and that's what's so key. Now, one of the last evolutions, and I think this is probably the most, again, impactful. That's what this course is about, being impactful.
It was a lot more impactful than I thought it was going to be.
It is.
When I took it off, go ahead.
So what happens is it's as simple as this, dads, and I want you to listen to me very carefully. We're going to blindfold your son, and we are going to walk him through hell. We're going to walk him through, and I'm not, glass, rebar, fire, people swinging, nails, and literally bear traps, and literally we'll be like, you have to walk him as close as you can to these. Not like you have to avoid it. You have to embrace it.
There's no way around it.
There's no way around it.
You got to step through it,
and
around it.
Here's what happens. Like you have this moment where you look at Jameson and said, listen to me. If you don't listen to me, you're going to the hospital. Yeah. And we've had shit get so real before. We've had sons that are like 12 years old go, Roger that, right? Like for that moment in time, it's a brotherhood. That's where the bonding starts, where he realizes that, oh my God, this man is controlling my life and my health and wealth. But guess what? You do that all the time. They just don't realize it.
And that's what I think was such a pivotal thing, because before I get on there, I said, listen, because there's other people, it's other things happening at the same time. There's other noise, there's other things.
Distractions of life.
Distractions. And that's what I told him. I said, listen, this is just like life. There's a lot of noise in the world. Okay. It's all just noise. I need you to block all that noise out. You're going to hear a lot of things. The only thing you give a shit about is my voice. And I'm going to be inches away from you the entire time. So you block out all that stuff. All that matters is me and you, and then you seeing me on the other side. And we're going to walk through this together. Because
communication is key, and it's about transmitting and receiving. You're transmitting out, and let me tell you what, motherfucker, you better receive it, because if not, it's going to be a long day at the hospital. And what happens is when it's over with.
Oh my God. That was that picture you showed.
Yes. I showed it to you. I mean, and I get goosebumps when I see it, because this isn't like, hey, hug your nephew so we can get a good picture. This is real life emotion.
I could feel it when I hugged him. He was like, you take that blindfold off and you're like, holy shit, I just did that.
And young men at that age don't know how to block out the noise, but guess what? We threw them into the lion's den. They have no choice. And this is what I think the world needs more of, is being thrown into I don't mind being thrown into the lion's den as long as I have the right lion directing me on what to do, right? Who's been there and done that. And like I said before, this is what's so awesome. We've had CEOs of Rite Aid and all, Fit Aid. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are at that moment. It's survival. And you're just dad. And we're, and like usually I say, we're dicks, we're not pricks. We used to scream at you while you were doing this. Now we just have ambient noise. Because Beatrice is like, oh my God, someone's going to go to the hospital. But Steve was a maniac. But what people need to understand is the power of believing in that family, right? Dad is there to protect you, right? And again,
guide you, and
guide you and educate you and teach you and make you strong. And what I love is it doesn't matter, right? Here you go. My son was thinking about being a Navy SEAL. Does he talk to me? No. Because he needs to hear it from someone else sometimes.
Yeah.
My thing is talk to a fucking Navy SEAL. He's talking to a guy in the regular Navy. Eventually, young men are going to want to challenge, and they're going to
the whole line
resist. Thing. Yes. And the thing is, they need to understand that dad has been there and he's done that. Like my son has done the dumbest things in the world. And I know exactly what he was doing because I was there and I've done that. The young men forget that we came from where they are.
But this creates that bond.
This creates that bond. And then what happens afterwards is, I get calls all the time from dads. Like, it's awesome. They're like, you're not going to believe this. Me and my son are doing jiu-jitsu now. That's awesome. Yeah. Me and my son are doing this. My son is now opening a car door for a woman, for mom. Yeah, you should be, right? Like my daughter is 13 years old. I have opened the car door for her and mama since the day I brought her home. I told her, you should expect, you know how to open your own car door, but you better, a young man better open a car door for you. A young man, she's got like a little suitor, a little boy. I told him, we had a conversation when we went out. I said, you need to understand this, right? This, and I mean, this was real. His name's Nico. I'm going to call him out on here. We were at a Mexican restaurant. I said, they were going to a movie. And I was going to sit in the same theater as him, but mom talked me out of it. The power of my beautiful wife. And I told him, I said, you need to understand something. I said, I can't be any more serious than I'm right now. When I'm not around, she's in your hands. She's your responsibility.
Right.
And I told him, if you fuck that up, I'm going to fuck you up. I mean, and he literally looked at me. He wasn't scared. He said, yes, sir. Because he was brought up the right way. But the other things that we teach at this course, first thing I did is I make you guys stand up and I said, hey, turn to your father, role model, whoever it is, and thank them. You did not have to come to this course. You have 1,000 other things you could do, and the course costs $1,900. There's 1,900 reasons of why he believes in you. So you can do two things. Let me teach you how to give a proper handshake, or you can hug your father. And let me show you how to do a proper hug. And all of you guys, I thought they all hugged. That's okay. And that's good. And no one judges you. It's okay. My son's 27 years old. I still hug and give him a kiss on the cheek. He's like, Dad, I'm like, shut up. You're still my boy.
I'm getting this. In my mind, you're still a baby.
You're still a baby. And D's going to be that old, and you're still going to be like that, but we'll still do a good handshake.
Yeah.
And the first thing I teach these young men in here is when you give a handshake, number one, you never sit down. You're always standing up. You look someone in the eyes. You give them a good, firm handshake, and you let them know they're there. And at that moment, transmit and receive, and those two human beings need to understand there's no other place on earth I'd rather be than meeting you.
Right here.
That's how relationships are developed. That's how bonds are created. And what we do is we talk about that. Hey, like if you don't know how to, Dad, if your son doesn't know how to change a tire and he's 15 years old, fucking shame on you. Get out there and teach him.
Yeah.
Right? Teach him how to do that. Like everything's computerized right now. I taught my son, listen, back in the day, shit we were talking about, carbureted. It's easy. Now it's make sure this and this and this. Check it out, right? Know how to do things. Know how to be the guy who can protect not only yourself, but your loved ones. And people go, why are you doing this so young? If I could do this, I would do this when they were 3. I would do it as early as I can. This is the age, and it's the age between the ages of 12 and 16.
If you look at human beings and cultures over a period of time, every culture had a rite of passage.
Yes.
Native Americans had a rite of passage when they became men. The Greeks, I mean, that's why we called our company the Agoge. The Agoge was essentially a youth program for them to become Spartans.
Spartans, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so every culture had this rite of passage of becoming, from going from a boy to becoming a man.
Yes.
But then in America, we're a hodgepodge of cultures, and we just kind of whitewashed it.
Yes. And Bedros tells an amazing story of the young warrior who's cut and he has to go live out in the woods overnight and come back. He either comes back or he doesn't. He has to survive.
That's one of those rite of passage. And we don't have that, and society has kind of gotten rid of this. And this is the reason why you see so many young men be turned into man boys.
Yes.
Is that the
Lost.
right term?
Yeah.
They're
Man
lost.
boys, boy mans, whatever.
So I think
boys.
right now, I honestly think right now, I mean, there are certain, there's Cub Scouts, there's things out there that are still trying to help, but they're still getting a little derailed too.
Yeah.
Right now, our only intentions at this course are we are trying to make sure that these young men have the tools that they need for the essentials.
Yeah.
The essentials. Now, what they do with that is not only their responsibility, but it's the dad's responsibility.
Right.
Like I tell, I get it. Listen, dad's hustling. He's working. You've got to make time for these young men. You've got to. Man time.
Yep.
Once a week, do something, right? And just so you know, if you have 2 hours with your kid, this is not man time. This is not man time. This is man time. Hey, what do you want to do today? Blah, blah, blah. Even if it's as simple as I'll take if money's tight, go for a 2-mile walk. Talk to my daughter. How was your day in school? Fine. Good. No, come on. Give me more than that. Because
I want the dirt.
that's what kids do.
I want the real dirt.
They build a wall because they're
course.
not comfortable,
Yeah.
right? Same thing with my son. How was your day? Both of them. Good. What you learn in school today? Stuff. No. We're going for a 2-mile walk. So we can
I want the dirt. Who did what?
Yep.
Who got busted for
and then
what?
before you know it, that 2-mile walk turns into a 4-mile walk.
Yeah.
And you can't put a time. You can't put a time on bonding. You can't.
So we're doing, you got one in Maine, you got one in Austin. We're doing one here. That's 4 this year, right? And 5.
Plus, we already have one in Chino, and we've got another one in Chino, so that's 6.
6 for the
We're
year.
growing exponentially. Is that the right word?
Yeah. So what's the future for this choir program? What's the intent?
That's a good question. So we have been getting just bombarded with people asking if there's a way that we can bring it to their hometown.
Yeah.
So right now, Bedros Koulian, the king of franchising, the king of licensing, the king of everything, is kind of weighing in on everything and seeing if that may be an option. He has been talking about maybe possibly opening this up so people can start doing this.
Yeah.
Nothing's set in stone. It's going to just depend on, obviously we do a lot of research and we're having a lot of people. We might be doing one in Florida too.
Okay.
I personally see this being the new thing.
The rite of passage.
In
for
my
young
goal,
men,
in my eyes, again, I'm not speaking for Bedros. And again, there's a lot of things that have to fall in place. I could see this being in every state and just different cities and counties. And because that's what it's about, because we already have the curriculum built.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not an easy man to please. You came through it and you loved it.
Oh,
much so.
I'm telling people that I'm like, listen, I don't $1,900, and I know that's expensive for some people. I'll tell you, beg, borrow, and steal because it's worth more than that. And the transformation that I saw in my nephew in 15 hours,
and his confidence, and his just
I mean, he was one of the youngest, smallest people there, and he was 1 point away from honor grad.
I know, and it wasn't because his uncle was Nick. It was because
not at all.
Because you weren't with me half the day. It was because he was putting the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right. And I got on him. And that's the thing. I'm firm but fair. Like when he showed up, he was very soft spoken. I'm like, no.
We're not doing this.
No.
Yeah.
This is not in your genes, brother. You need, and by the end,
it was funny, man. Ray pulled, he saw that in JMO. Like, so he's like, oh, I'm on you. I'm on it. Yeah.
But his fire is being lit. Now, what he does with that fire is up to him, and it's up to you. Right? This isn't, you go through this course and it's life-changing. We've had some fathers that literally are traveling and either helping out or they're going through the course over and over and over because they're like, this is the only time that me and my son bond. And then we have this great connection. And they're like, well, shit, what happens after they turn 16? Well, when they turn 18, they can come to project if you want. But,
you guys can do the project together.
But we are making a difference. And
it really is.
I honestly foresee this. There's so many people and I know Bedros is we are getting hit up every day. Like, can you bring this to us? And can you bring this to us? I mean, we did this to you. Ryan Mickler.
Yeah.
Ryan's like, I want this here. You come through. I want this here. We're doing this and we're making a difference. I mean, we're doing this. Wes Whitlock,
Right.
solid. He's like, I want this here. And what's going to happen is this is just going to grow from word of mouth. And before you know it, I honestly see us having thousands of these. And I see this hopefully reshaping the new civilization. And I know that's strong words, but reshaping it in a positive manner.
We have to. I mean,
something needs to change.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's why so many fathers, and you know what's amazing about this? Because I take all the calls for it. Probably 50% of the calls are from the moms asking about it, saying, listen.
That's what I see on my social posts.
Oh my goodness. And now I will tell you this, right now we're not doing a daughter-mother thing, and we're not doing a daughter-son. We actually even will provide a positive male role model. You even said, hey, I'll step in, right? You've done it before.
My own here. If there's a hole, I'll jump in as another dad.
Sean, what's his name?
Sean Buck Rogers.
Sean Buck Rogers. Yeah. He just jumps on a plane and says, I'm coming. Let's do it. He doesn't ask for anything in return, and we do that. And what happens is right now we'll come to you. We're coming to you. We're going to bring the boom. We're going to make a huge impact. We are videoing this stuff.
Yeah.
And we want to get the message out there. And eventually, I honestly think it's only going to be a matter of time before Bedros, and I'm not speaking for him, is going to have to pull the trigger on this.
Yeah.
Because we're making such an impact. This is not an impressive course. Impressive is short term. This is impactful. We are making a real mark on people.
And it's not all the physical stuff. I mean, like I said, it's the physical stuff is to get there.
It's just like it's to get there.
It's just to get there. It's the highway to get there.
And what's so amazing about this course is when you graduate this course, you get you get some cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
You got the cool shirt. We have the amazing graduation dinner, but the certificate is signed by all the instructors. But the most important signature on there, Dad, is it comes from you.
Right.
Right. And a lot of these young men that dads are like, oh, they're not going to do anything. Guys are making shadow boxes out of them and they're hanging this stuff up. I mean, they're fucking proud of this.
Yeah.
And
which is crazy because it's really just 15 hours. But if that's the result, then that should tell you exactly how impactful it is at a 15-hour event that you're getting this thing hung on your wall as a reminder. Like, I did that. And these are the things that I stand for.
I mean, at 5 o'clock in the morning, we're working. And I tell them, you know what? Do you know what every other kid in America is doing right now? They're either sleeping or playing a video game.
Yeah, they're still up from the night prior.
This is why you are going to be a great human being, because you're putting in the work.
Right.
The work. And that's our second program we run.
That's awesome, man. And what do you do for LTD?
LTD is the Leadership Team Development Training, where Steve Eckert, myself and Bedros, are business partners, and we go to companies and corporations and we focus. Same thing. This is not a cookie cutter type program. We actually go in. Let's say you want us to come to Johnny Slicks and do something, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing we do is myself or Steve will sit down with you. We're going to ask you a couple questions. What are your core values? What are your internal revenue streams? What is this? What is that? And what we're going to do is we're going to then, this is what's so cool about us, is we give you a survey to you and your employees. And we want them to just be completely honest and transparent with us. Where do you see problems? I can have two people and they're completely different. But what's going to eventually see, we're going to see, usually it's communication. And then what we do is we come in and we do a teamwork, problem solving, leadership, communication drill. And we teach the companies, this is what companies need to understand. If you're a CEO of a company and you have an employee that's usually running on an 8-cylinder capacity, and then all of a sudden they're running at a 6-cylinder capacity. They're still running, but they're just not giving you their optimal performance. You could literally, if you design and develop a relationship with them, open door policy and say, hey, you got a second? Can you come in? Yeah. Everything good with your family, fitness, finance, and faith? Everything good? How about your 3 battlefields of life? Let's start there. Is it the battlefield, or you have an internal struggle? Is it something at home, or is it something at work? If it's at work, it's teamwork, problem solving, leadership, communication. You have a problem with employee. You can literally, with this company, we teach that you can't be fucking good at one thing unless you're good at all 3 things.
Right.
Like we just have successful CEO of a company. His personal life sucks. That's an A and an F.
Right.
That is not a passing grade. So what we do is we bring it to perspective that you have to do this, this, and this. The one thing that Steve brings out, and I love this, is we just did this with 36 CEOs of like huge companies. How many people have a schedule calendar for their work stuff? How many people have a calendar for their personal home life? You do. Most don't. Like literally, like 3 people.
We actually learned that a couple years ago. We actually started writing in our personal
Best
stuff.
self journals.
Yep.
Yeah, we write when we sit down and do our schedule, all the personal family stuff, personal stuff goes in first. Our training, obviously for jiu-jitsu, like we do it a lot together, so that's part of it. That all goes in first. Vacations goes in first.
Yep.
And then all the other
you build
stuff.
everything around it. Same thing. And I color coordinate that.
Yeah.
So project is blue. LTD is yellow. Squire is like a pinkish.
Yeah.
Vacations are blue, and personal life is gray. And literally, I can go in there, and I do timers on this. I got to watch the time. I know we're getting late here. Yeah. I literally do a 1 week, 1 day, 30 minutes, 10-minute on everything. I will not be late, especially with my family. I will not miss that because most people have schedulings for the things that they think are really important in life. And again, making money is important, but also having a family and having that support element.
That's an A and that's an F.
It sucks, man.
Yeah, it sucks.
And usually this isn't a real strong A, and this is a really strong F. So that's how it works. It's like, this is this is the lowest A I can be, but this is a fucking like 1.
Yeah.
You can't have that in life. And that's what we focus on. And we are going around to corporations. I mean, we've spoke to some huge companies, and we cannot get enough praise about it because we're coming. It's easy to go up there with graphs and charts and say, and that's boring, but we make people do things. The first thing I do is a communication drill. 5 words, transmit and receive. I need you to get 20 people, same word, coming there and back, or just getting down there, write it down. They say it one time. You would say it, these words, single syllable, 4 single syllable, 1 double syllable word.
Yeah.
You have to pass it on. Then after you do that, you break and you write it down. I'm going to see because here's what people do. They transmit something right, but they receive it wrong.
Right.
Sometimes it's just wrong and wrong. And what happens is,
and it gets worse and worse.
If you have about 20 or 30 employees, you're going to see the same 4 people coming out.
Yeah.
And then what you have to figure out is, are they on the wrong seat of the bus or are they on the wrong fucking bus? Meaning, can you train them up? Because if they're not trained right, number one, CEO has to take full responsibility. It's your fault.
Yeah.
But then you have to take action. Problem makers, problem solvers. Okay, I need to get my chiefs or whoever to see, can we train these up? Sometimes it's as easy as doing a lateral transfer, moving into a different position. But sometimes you have to get rid of them because I know everybody says, in a perfect world, hire slow, fire fast. But if you lose somebody unexpectedly, you have to hire immediately. Right? I will hire someone for effort and attitude.
Yeah.
Trust takes time, and I will teach them the mission. And that's what we do. And we are exploding with that. And what's so great is not usually about 80% of the time, it's myself and Steve that go in, but every now and then they want the Mecca to come in and we'll, a little upcharge. We'll bring the boss man in and Bedros will come in and he loves it because, he's just talking to young business entrepreneurs who are hungry and, he's worth all this. Yeah. And going, listen, this is what, and we're raw. Like we give it to them raw. Now, we're not effing people out or anything like that, but we put it in a way that people need to hear. That's the thing. We tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
Which is painful sometimes.
It is painful. And it takes sticks. Pain equals growth. Growth equals power. Power equals knowledge. Knowledge equals profit.
There you go. So where can people find you, Ray?
Yeah, I can be found on Instagram at RayCashCare. You can find me if you go to at raycashcare.com or www.raycashcare.com. And my Facebook is frogmindset.com. And other than that, if you guys need me for anything, please reach out, DM, call, send me a smoke signal, and we will make it happen.
If they DM you about the Project Squire or any of that, they can get a hold of you, right?
Yes. All you have to do on my Instagram, just DM me Project Squire or LTD, and I will be happy to send you all the information you need, set up a call, and we will make it happen.
All right, brother. Well, there's a lot of information, man.
That was great.
So listen, tag, this was a lot of good stuff. Screenshot this, leave us a review, tag both Ray and I. We'll share it out. More men need to hear this kind of stuff, man. And they're making a difference, and I appreciate it. Thanks, brother. And I hope your legs just fucking hurt on the drive back up to Virginia.
If they did, I'd never tell you.
All right, brother. Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
See you guys in the next episode.